Ow, let's go. What up? No. How'd you go? Okay, can anyone hear me now? Okay, let me explain what happened. My little cat, that I call Milton, he decided that he wanted to help with the live. What he did, as you can see, he jumped on the computer monitor, also pulled out the cable that goes to the microphone and the mixer. So that is what the problem was. But that was an easy repair. It's just I use RCA, very easy for it to get pulled. If I try to move the this, should be a little. But anyway, I'm glad, and we all know that there's a very popular carnivore that goes is my day. Mike is here. And again, this is your chance. If you want to ask me a question directly, you can do that. Now, remember, with all the carnivore influencers out there, remember that I am the de-influencer. I'm not trying to. In fact, I believe people a keto diet may be a better option, like my vegan friend. And maybe one day I'll be able to join me on one of these live streams because I think a lot of you. I haven't had a heart attack for my blood pressure. And again, I spend time working. I work physically. I ride a bicycle. And, I don't really sit around much. I go up and down. No problem. I don't think I look too bad for a 56-year-old. Dangerous. But it's like anything. If you know how to use them, one wrong move and it could be it. You could go in my yard, eat one plant, and within hours you would be dead. So that is a problem. Connection is not working like it should. I think probably what it is, I don't know if it looks like my wired connection got somehow unplugged. That could be it. But anyway, this is just a test. I'm not trying to do anything. I just wanted to give you an idea. And we got others here. Bob is here. Glad to have you here. I'm just happy that I have so many people that want to communicate with me because in the real world, when I tell people how I like to eat, they look at me like I'm some kind of a whack job. Look at this guy. All he eats is meat and drinks water. He doesn't want to eat anything else. We just had the holiday season and people always they try to stick you with the pumpkin pie or the cookies or the other duck food, and that's something that I hate. In fact, a friend of mine gave me some fried chicken, which didn't agree with me. It was from Kentucky Fried Chicken, and the first thing he did, he tried to give me this packet of what he called honey, and I told him, "What do you think I am, Paul Saladino? I hate honey." And then I looked at the packet and I realized it's not actually honey; it's a chemical concoction. Probably a little bit of honey and a bunch of seed oils and a bunch of all the other nasty stuff. So anyway, does anybody have any questions? And again, I saying good morning. Let's see, we have a few. I don't know where on this YouTube studio. It looks like I have 14 in the chat. I think I'm kind of unfamiliar with this setup, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm glad that you're here. Like Bob always says, I'm glad you're here. I think he always says become 1% better. Well, I don't know if I want to be 1% better or if I just want to survive another day without a heart attack. I'll be 57 this summer. So, hey, it's only a matter of time. Okay. Let's see. Can I see you in the stream later, Carnivore Muscle? Yes, absolutely. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, getting buffering. I'm going to have to troubleshoot my connection. The other thing I was trying to do was to get the OBS software to work, but it crashed my computer. Now I have this other computer that my friend Russ gave me, and you probably know Russ from the keto cookout that we have on Tuesday night. That he is the first keto carnivore person I've ever met in person, and actually the first person I met from YouTube in 17 years. And we went to the Brazilian steakhouse down the street, and we had a really great time. It was really delicious. So let's see. Don't you love internet connection troubles? Yes, I hate to say that. I do. I'm going to have to troubleshoot this crazy thing. Oh, it's fine now? Well, that's good. I think there's an issue because my little cat Milton, he got into my communications closet and he decided to rearrange the wiring. Let's put it that way. I found one of the switches on the floor and I found cables all mixed up. And I just went ahead and tried to plug it in. And that's it. Let's see. OBS needs i7. Yeah, this is i5. That's probably why it doesn't work. So I'll keep looking around. It's only a matter of time before I find a decent computer. This YouTube thing is fine. And again, I try to join in any of the any of the chats that people invite me to. You know, I'm surprised that anybody would invite me to a chat because I'm a giant quack. In the carnivore community, I am the most unique, as you know. I'm the tallest, probably one of the skinniest. I mean, I don't have the muscles that you guys have, but on the other hand, I'm active, flexible. I don't have any trouble. You know, my got holes in my socks because I'm poor. But then again, trying to find size 15 socks in the store here is almost impossible. If you go to the Walmart, the best thing that you can find is size 13. So you'll see me a lot of times. Yes, I have holes in my socks. I get the comments all the time. Not all of them, but you know, some of them I do. Oh, let's see who else we have here. Let's see. Oh, there's Ray from Michigan. Hey, good morning. Yes, good morning. Glad to see you here. And you know, this is what I like about YouTube. I get to meet people of all different types. Now, we know that there is one person who is promoting the carnivore diet and the documentary and the clubs and this and that. And I like the guy, you know, great guy. And I appreciate that people are out there promoting this lifestyle because I think in many ways it's going to help us. But on the other hand, getting people to join groups, make donations and all that, that's great for some people. And if you're one of those people that has extra resources, go ahead and do it. But if you're like me and you're in survival mode, really what I want to do is just saying, you know, hi and get to know people. And I want to meet people in person. And I want to meet not just the carnivore community, but also the people that are producing the food. And I'd like to work with some of the people that are in that field, people in healthcare industry, whatever. If you want to talk to me, I'm here. I never charge anything, and I'm always happy to share my experience. Oh, we got a question here. Let's see. If you don't mind my asking, how old are you? Well, I was born in June of 1968. So that's how old I am. And not bad. I mean, you know, no gray hair. I don't think I have a lot of wrinkles. If you look at the picture that I put for the live stream, that is a picture of me from 25 years ago in this exact same room. And you can see that I haven't changed that much. The only big change I've had, I do have this little like this like a scar there, and that actually came from a car accident, and that's a long time ago. That was probably, you know, 15 years ago. No, it was actually wasn't 15 years ago. It's like 10 years ago. So that's one of the things that's changed. My hair, you know, the hairline is the same, but I think a lot of that is genetic. But I do believe that the carnivore diet is the reason why I never became obese. You know, my waist size is still 36, and I weigh anywhere from 190 to 200 pounds. So that's actually pretty good. Let's see what else we have here. Um, let's see. Same guy won't help promote artery. Yeah, but neurodivergent community. See, that's it. Not a fan. I agree with you, Jonathan. You know, I think a lot of times people see this carnivore diet as a way to get fame and fortune. And that is a mistake because I started the carnivore diet as a form of protest. And I think it's not just what you eat, I think it's your attitude. Because if you're a person that's living under very difficult conditions, maybe you're in a bad marriage, or you have a job that you hate, or you live in a place that you hate, it doesn't matter. You could eat the most perfect carnivore diet. You could have a diet of ribeye steaks, grass fed, panda massage, or whatever else they want to call it, and you could still be unhealthy because stress. Now, I can tell you an experience that I've had. My mother was sick. She started having issues in 2010, and my dad died in 2012. And after he was gone, I had to take care of my mother. She was relatively independent in the beginning, but as time went on, it became more and more. Mom would not go anywhere. I think around 2015, she really stopped going to the store. And then it was 2018, she had another health crisis. And all that time that I was taking care of her, I actually put on body fat. My waistline went from 36 to 38. And I ate the exact same diet. In fact, I ate less than I was eating in some cases. So, the whole calories in, calories out thing is not true. But then again, as I hate to say it, I was upset after my mom passed away, but within months, my body had returned to the same size and same shape that it was before. So it really was remarkable how, despite only getting maybe 3 hours of sleep a day for years, I was able to go back to my 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and my diet stayed the same. I was never tempted by anything. But then again, when you're on the carnivore diet, I don't think you really want to do things like drink alcohol, because I had friends that would bring me wine or whiskey or stuff like that to try to calm down the nerves, and it's still sitting there. That stuff is still sitting in the cabinet. I never touched it. I've taken sips of the stuff and it just wasn't anything I liked. I would rather go outside and feed the ducks and relax than drink that stuff. And of course, all the other things, the junk food or whatever, that goes straight to the ducks. Well, let's see what we have here. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yes, 56. That's me. Looks great. Thank you. Look very similar to my dad. Not kidding. And that's a good compliment coming from you, Jonathan. Morning, Rick. I love watching your videos while you cook. Okay. Tell me, what is your favorite, your favorite meal to cook? And if money is not an object, mine is rib of beef. Well, actually, I do love beef ribs, but I got used to eating chuck rolls. Chuck rolls used to be very cheap. I used to be able to get them for like $2 a pound or less, and I'd buy them in 50-pound sections. And then with that, I could cut into steaks. I could make a roast. I could make a lot of different things. But if I had no money, let's say that I had unlimited food, I would definitely eat eggs and ribeye steaks or T-bones. T-bones are actually my favorite. And by the way, they're on sale at Fresco y Mas for $3.98 a pound. So hopefully that'll be something I'll be going to today. It is a little bit rainy, so I'll probably have to drive the van over there. As you know, I've been riding the bike since my truck broke down, but I have a feeling that that's going to change soon. My friend upstate says he found me an engine for $300. So if that's the case, I'll be taking that engine, and hopefully within a few weeks, I'll be sticking it in my truck and I'll be back on the road. And by the way, unlike me, my truck is powered by seed oils, and I have lots of used seed oils, and I'm going to have to go and get more food trucks so that I can get them. Let's see, who else do we have here? All right. You are definitely a poster child for carnivore. Well, thank you. Thank you, Lori's Carnivore Story. Fame and fortune. Where do I sign up for that? Right, Bob? Well, Bob, you're going to be a lot more famous because you're going to be out there in the desert setting up your off-grid living. And I think that's going to get more and more people involved. I'm going to do the same thing, but hopefully here in Florida. I'm going to do a semi-off-grid. You're semi-retired, Bob. I'm going to be semi-off-grid Rick, because I will be grid connected like I am now. But as you know, even where I live now, my electric bill is like maybe $70, and it gets up to 100 and something dollars in the summer, but I've produced my own power, and I make my own soap, and I do a lot of things myself. I don't throw out any garbage. My vegan friends are always torturing me that I'm the enemy of the planet. But when you actually analyze how much fuel I use, how much energy I use, it's less than them. And I throw out nothing. So I recycle. Things that are scrapped. I'm actually doing better, I think, environmentally than the vegans. And to top it all off, I give them free fruits and vegetables from my garden, which is 100% organic. There are no herbicides, no pesticides, no fungicides, none of that stuff. It's all done naturally. Okay, let's see who else we have here. Let's see. Yeah, that is true. Polish Mike says, and many of these carnivore forums have people that provide medical advice. See, that is a no-no right there. We know that with the current system, unless you have government-sponsored approval, you can't provide medical advice. And then again, why would you need anybody else to tell you what to do? Let your body tell you. If you're feeling good, that's usually a good sign. If you start feeling bad, you need to make adjustments. And again, don't be dogmatic. If the carnivore diet is not working for you, you need to adjust it. And again, I don't have the dogma that a lot of people do. I don't tell people, well, you have to have only meat. You got to eat meat and salt and so on. If you're one of those people that likes to drink coffee, I hate the stuff. Go ahead and drink it if it doesn't affect you badly. You could be like Mitch that smokes cigars. All right, I hate smoke. But then again, if it works for you, go ahead and do it, because in the end, all of us have a limited time, and sooner or later, we're going to kick the bucket. The only thing we can do is try to delay it a little bit, or like me, you want to have a heart attack. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be in the nursing home. The worst thing that could happen to me, in my opinion, is being in a nursing home. And I'm one of those people that really hates like living in these buildings. Every time I have to do a job in one of these high-rise buildings, I get actually depressed. I find those places to be just unsatisfying. I would rather look out the window and see my yard with a bunch of junk around there and a bunch of ducks and cats and who knows what else. At least I can go outside and step on real ground and not be up in some building. Okay, let's see. I actually bought a cast iron pan. Excellent. That's very good. Bob says, I get that. I took care of my mom for a year. Yep. See what I mean? It takes a lot more out of you than people give you credit for. Bottles of wine. Yep. See, same thing. Same Bob. I ended up with an infection once mom died. Well, there you go. And the thing is, when my mom died, I ended up with COVID. So that was not fun. I lost my sense of taste. Felt pretty lousy for a couple of days. But you know what? When I got back to the eggs and the meat, it wasn't long before I was back and out up and at 'em, as they say. Okay, what else do we have here? How's your oral health? Well, okay, my teeth, as you can see, are very crooked. Now, I have a picture of me from before I started the carnivore diet in junior high, and the top teeth, these stuck out more. These were like a lot crookeder, I guess you could say. They were not as straight. But once I switched to the carnivore diet, the upper part, this is broken. That was from a fight I had as a kid. And that was before the carnivore diet. And they had fixed it at the dentist office, but it fell out when I reached age 30. It's actually better now. It seems like the teeth have grown a little bit over the years because this crack went all the way down. And I'll bring out a picture. I mean, I can bring it out now, but you could see that I did change orally. I haven't had a cavity, but I haven't been to a dentist since 1986. The dentist office is down the street. Maybe one day I'll take a video of it. I think now it's a medical office, but I haven't been there. I don't have any gum issues, and I brush my teeth with baking soda and lard. So we don't use anything really high tech here. Okay, let's see. Seam of grid. Okay, yeah, I like that. Okay. I put one of my clients on mashed white potatoes this week because it is what is required for them at the time. Yes, I've only ever included duck food clients. Well, see, Jonathan has a lot of experience. And again, if you're serious about bodybuilding or health, you want to check out his channel, Carnivore Muscle. He has a lot of good information. He has his Carnivore Bible. There's a lot there for you. And he's coming from a position of, well, basically, back is a disaster. And, he's got autism and all these other challenges. But what he's been able to do is an encouragement to me, and it should be an encouragement to you. And really, if he's putting somebody on mashed white potatoes, there's a reason for it. I know some people that have had to eat rice because they needed that as part of the healing process. If you've eaten junk food for years and then you jump into the carnivore diet, and I've said this many times, you're going to probably have issues. Even Bob says this, the bathroom issues and all that stuff. You really need to understand that you can't change things overnight. That it's like, if you're used to doing something and you try to make a change, just like if you're working out, maybe you work out one muscle group, then you do another one intensely, you're going to hurt for days. So it's the same thing with your digestive system. Why in the world would you do that just all at once? Just make a few changes, and that's how you get it done. Okay, let's see. Nursing home, yes, worked in them. Oh, I had to, my mom was rehabilitating in the nursing home a couple of times, and it was so frustrating because I ended up taking her out of the nursing home and at home. For 2 weeks in the nursing home, she was not able to get up and walk around. In 3 days in my home, she was able to get up and walk around. But of course, I used to sneak extra eggs and meat into my mom's diet. She did not like steak and did not like beef, but I found ways. I made her hamburgers with heart attack buns instead of bread. It was a little tricky, but I got it done. And also, I found that fermented vegetables, My mom didn't like them, but I was able to incorporate them into her salad. She was using that stupid salad dressing, the stuff that was it Thousand Island or something like that. But using yogurt and a little bit of sauerkraut, I was able to simulate that. So I was constantly making adjustments to my mom's diet, and she did get better. Okay, what else do we have here? You can tell Rick is carnivore. Yes, because he has a jawline. Oh, that's good, Jonathan. That's true. Yeah, you know what? You're right. It is uncommon for tall folks because most of the tall folks I know, they have that sort of, it's not Marfan syndrome, but it's very similar. Also, the voice is different. Most tall people, they have sort of a deeper voice or a different kind of voice, and they generally don't talk as fast as I do. I have a bad habit of talking really fast. I have to slow myself down. I remind myself of that Federal Express guy that I used to have, the one that used to talk really fast. So yeah, that's one thing that I've been working on. Let's see. Okay, yeah, that's funny. Okay, that's good. Shaped like balloons. Content creators like Rick keep my brain working and inspired. I've never met such a sincere and happy-go-lucky person in my life. Well, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much. I've had my vegan friends tell me that I'm negative because I'm always criticizing things that they do and things that won't work. But I tend to look at it this way, if something is working, keep with it. If it's not working, make some changes. And you'll always, well, you may have a little speed bump along the way, but at least you'll be moving forward. Let's see. Uh-oh. Competition for old guy carnivore. Yeah, I don't want to interfere with his stream. I mean, if you need to go ahead. I'm going to be here. I don't want to be here more than maybe an hour. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of a, introduction and kind of, my new setup here. Okay, let's see. Yes, it's 11 again. Yes. Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, Rick, like the opening act. There you go. Do you sing? No, I don't really sing. I mean, I do, but it's probably not something you'd want to hear. It's like when I was a kid, my favorite song used to be Sunday Will Never Be the Same. And I would go and I'd say, I'm trying to remember what I used to say, every morning I would wake up. How did that go? I got to remember this. Mom would bring me eggs and oatmeal. I would throw out the window. It's something like that. And I have pretty good sized windows, so I'd turn the crank and throw the part of the breakfast I didn't like over to the ducks. Okay, let's see. Absolutely Rachel. Yep. All right. Jerome Armstrong. Yes, another contract creator. That's right. That's awesome. Thanks. I'll look into him. Yep, you should. Good morning, Rick. I'm glad you're doing this. Well, thank you, Dr. Nelson. I'm glad you're here. I'm surprised that I've had so many people. Look at this. I got 19 viewers. It's amazing. Let's see. I like the set. Unpretentious like us. Well, this is my bedroom. And it's not pretty. I mean, the paneling is old. It's coming apart. And of course, got to have this because it used to be in that when it existed. And I got my neon lights up top. You might be able to see it. There they are. I got some Matchbox cars. Yeah, there's nothing. I'm not going to do that green screen, fancy background and all that. But once I get the OBS working, then I'll try to have different articles and information that I find. A lot of times what I'm doing, I'm working. I do a lot of physical work, and I'm basically the problem solver. People call me up when they have electrical or plumbing or even technical issues, and I'll have to sit there and work through it. And then what I'll do, I'll take a portable device. I'll find some Wi-Fi somewhere, and then actually I listen to a lot more of the live streams and chats than you could ever imagine. So I try to keep up with all the information. I even listen to some of the other non-carnivore influencers. I mean, you got the chiropractor, what's his name, Dr. Berg. He's got some good stuff on there. But his goal is to sell products. And a lot of them, you got like Thomas DeLauer and, some of these other people, they sell products. They're influencers. I'm a de-influencer. I make my money from solving people's problems in the physical world. I'm not out there trying to sell stuff on the internet, and I'm not going to make money from the carnivore diet. I can guarantee that. Only a very small portion of people ever get money from the internet or YouTube. So that's not my goal. My goal is just to meet people like you. I want to meet you, and that way, maybe you run into a little bit of problem with the carnivore diet or even something else. You may be a classic car guy. Now, I saw a comment here said, Rick, I always Wonder how many people actually know what Mopar means. Can you explain? Yes, I can. I call it mostly old parts and rust, but Mopar was actually the name of the parts division of the Chrysler Corporation. And it goes back, I think, into the 30s. It was MOPAR, or motor parts. So anything Chrysler, Dodge, Plymouth, they don't have Chrysler. I mean, I guess they do have the Chrysler name, but there's no more Plymouth. You probably remember the Plymouth Roadrunner if you're old enough. So we call all the Chrysler products Mopar. Obviously, Ford, some people call that the blue oval. And Chevy, well, they call that a bow tie because of the Chevy emblem. All right, let's see what else we got here. Well done, Rachel. Okay, I was singing in the shower. There we go. Talent show. Singing is healthy regardless of what you sound like. I say sing anyway. Absolutely, you should. And it's like a lot of people that are religious, they go to church and they sing. They may not sing very well, but when you're around the other people, you probably won't notice. And that's good. I think that it is important that you have some type of expression. I know my taste in music is a little weird because I tend to like instrumentals the most, although I do sing a bit, which is fine. But yeah, I'm not going to be, let's just say I'm not going to be a talent. I mean, if I could sing, I would like to be like Frank Sinatra. That would probably be my thing. But then again, who knows? All right, let's see. Rick, you have to adjust and setting unit. Okay, yes. Yeah, my computer is running a little bit on I can hear the fan going. I don't have any other software open, but it is old. And I see Lori's leaving. Okay, I guess you're going to Mitch's stream. That's fine. Go ahead. There was no muscle car like the Superbird. I agree. Or don't forget about the Charger Daytona. That was the original one. Let's see. That's right. Everyone can sing. That's right. Everyone can sing, even if you sound like a duck in heat or a cat with its tail stepped on. That's fine. At least you're making the effort. 19 months carnivore. Hey, there's Matthew, the cornerstone. See, feeling awesome. You ought to check out his channel. If you're into Christian messages and prayer, that's a great place to go. And he looks pretty good. You got to admit, I think he was plant-based for a while and he's carnivore and he's doing fantastic. So let's see who else. Rachel Fitzpatrick, okay, like Frank Sinatra. Excellent. Emma Neeson is an awesome singer to look for into modern jet. Well, that's good to know. And that's a great thing about the internet today. We can look up people. Anyone can post videos on YouTube and you can see talent that otherwise wouldn't have made it through the system. So I'm really happy about that. And again, I'm happy to be here. Even a quack like me can make live streams and videos. And once I get my computer equipment the way I want it, I have a long list of subjects I would like to make. Because although the carnivore diet is an important part of my life, I don't think it's my entire life. And if I had to live under different conditions, I don't think I would do so well. If I was living in some crummy apartment in a high rise, I'd be depressed even if I was eating ribeye steaks every day. I would rather be living in a shack in the woods, surrounded by, crazy animals, than living in some horrible high rise. Okay, what else do we have here? I sing like Yoko. Oh, you mean like the was it Yoko Ono, the wife of John Lennon of the Beatles? Okay, I just ordered a CD of Little Richard. Oh, well, Little Richard was funny. Good golly, Miss Molly. What was that other song? Tutti Frutti. That's what I think. Little Richard was a little bit on the fruity side, so that was an appropriate song. What else do we have here? I watch your videos more than anyone else because you're a very kind, wise, and interesting person. I appreciate you, bud. Frank is. Hey, thank you, Matthew. I'm glad. When you watch my channel, you're getting somebody that's basically just sharing his life. I'm not trying to impress anybody. What really gets me, and one of the reasons I got on YouTube is I hate scammers. I got on YouTube because of the energy scammers that were telling you could get fuel from water and do all these things. And, it's hard to say, but I think for a lot of people, they look to others as a source of inspiration. I look to nature. I look to the things that are created, the things that are around us. I don't look to other people as inspiration. I look to other people as a source of encouragement, not inspiration. You got these people, you know what they do? These 20-somethings that they go to the gym, they're in good shape, and then what they do, they find some sponsor, they'll go and they'll get some money, and they'll rent some crappy Lamborghini or some other piece of garbage, and some crappy apartment over there on Brickell Avenue or somewhere in Miami Beach. And then they go there and they say, oh, you follow my program and I'm going to make you all this money. And I made $100,000 this week and blah, 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 blah. You know what? I tell people, if you're making that much money, you're not going to share it with anybody else unless they're already your friend. So if they're out there putting out this information, they're just trying to scam you. I mean, come on. How can anybody fall for this? All right, let's see what else we got here. I just ordered. Okay, got that. And good morning, Brenda Foley. Good morning. Good morning from Miami. Robert Fitzpatrick. I'm in a 16-meter studio at the moment, hoping to get out of here. Yeah, those little apartments, they're just not, I mean, what can you really do there, you know? I'm not sure if you mentioned eyesight. Do you wear spectacles or cataracts? Well, guess what? I do not. Contacts? No, I don't wear. I guess you mean eyeglasses or contacts. I don't have any cataracts. My parents did. My parents both had to have cataract surgery in their 60s. And I'm 56 and my eyesight is fine. I'm looking at the monitor. There's a little tiny text over there. I have to get a little close to it to see it, but I can see it just fine. Let's see. Dollars you pay for that? Yes. Back in high school in the early 80s, one of my friends made a good point. John Lennon seems to have searched the world for a woman to marry who looked very much like himself. That's a good point. I never thought about that. See, I enjoy looking at the comments that my viewers give me. I feel encouraged by it. I'm trying to reverse my myopia now. Well, I don't know if the carnivore diet is going to improve your eyesight. There are people out there that says that it does, but both of my parents were wearing glasses by their 40s, and I'm 56 and I don't wear glasses. I don't even wear sunglasses. You know, you see me outside, I don't wear sunglasses. I don't see the need for it. You know, but our family is basically a family of people who wear glasses. Although my grandfather, according to my mom, he lived to 94. He was thin. Now, he was not on the carnivore diet. He was cheap, just like me, and he never wore glasses. He said that only when he got into his 90s, you know, his 80s, he used reading glasses. But so far, I haven't had to do it. Yeah, see, it's spectacles. Oops. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Spectacles like eyeglasses. I think it will for sure. Okay. Yeah, I can see the chat. It's not the biggest text, but it's fine. And yeah, I'm happy. Oh, what do we got here? A few things about my health have improved on carnivore. My eyesight is not one of them. See, not everybody's going to get the same improvement. And I think one of the biggest problems is that people expect the carnivore diet to fix everything. You know, I'm going to go on the carnivore diet. Everything's going to be fixed. And that's not the way it works. I mean, come on. The carnivore diet is a tool in the toolbox. You need to get plenty of sleep. You need to go outside. You need to have a purpose in life. You know, you may have wife, kids, or whatever, or you may be like me and you live by yourself, and your purpose is just to do what you can. You know, I like to go out there and solve problems, whether they're my own problems or somebody else's problems. A lot of times I'll be relaxing at home. Somebody will call me. Oh, I got a leak in my house. Oh, I got electrical problems. Oh, my computer, I lost all my files, and my air conditioner is broken and I'm dying. What am I going to do? I'm like, first thing you do, you did the right thing. You called Rick and then you calmed down. So, you know, you just call my phone number. I'll take care of it. I just had one of my customers call me yesterday that their sink was clogged. Well, I went over there and I dug a hole and I found the root that was going into the drain and I fixed it. So it took me a couple of hours and it was a bit of hard digging, but I got it done. And I knew what it was because they had a landscaper over there planting some trees, and evidently they nicked the pipe because I knew kind of where it was. And when I started digging, I found it. I pulled the tree out of the ground, I fixed it, and I coupled it, and that was the end of it. So, okay, what do we have here? Okay, I found that wearing glasses actually made my eyesight worse. Of course it would, because the thing is, your eyes have muscles in them. It's like any other muscle. If you're not going to use it, you're going to lose it. So when you look at something close and you look at something far away that has to stretch the lens, and it's going to become stiff. That's the problem. You know, people just don't understand that. If you're going to wear glasses, it's a good idea. Like in the old days, they used to carry them around on a chain or keep them in their pocket. Just use them when you need them and then take it off. Okay, Ray says, resist the urge to start wearing reading glasses. A lot of times the type is just too small and the lighting is too low. Now, that's a very good point. It makes your eyes lazy. Red light therapy does help. Yes, exactly. You know, one thing that I've noticed is that if I can't see text, usually the light is not bright enough. So I always like to carry a little flashlight. Yeah, it's an LED flashlight, But if you're reading like a manual, like let's say I need to get my manual over here. Okay. So let's say that I have a problem, and some of these manuals, they can have some, they're pretty easy to read, but sometimes in the wiring diagrams, it can be hard to see. Like, for example, like right here, some of these numbers, they can be a bit challenging. Now, if you have enough light, there's no problem seeing it. But if for some reason you can't see it before you reach for the glasses, it might be a good idea to try to improve the lighting. I find that going outside really helps. Okay, let's see. It is inflammatory. Yes, that's right, Jonathan. If it's structural, it will not. Exactly. Now, see, Jonathan has had to have surgery. It's like, for example, if you had a hernia, you're not going to be able to fix that just through the diet. You're going to have to get that surgically fixed. So that's important. Yes, that is and scar tissue also is not going to reverse. So if you damage your liver, it's going to have to be replaced. You're not going to be able to reverse that. Okay, 1-year-old my optometrist. Getting better. Okay, prescription gotten better. Nothing has changed. There you go. I recommend Beeline software for anyone that has difficulties reading. Oh, that's good to know, Jonathan. I never heard of that. And myopia is a good source. Okay, reversing myopia. Now, my understanding is that since people use phones so much, their myopia is actually increasing, or nearsightedness. I don't know if that's true, but I've seen videos on that, and I've had people tell me that. So that may be the case. Okay, yes, exactly. I wonder how it is that squinting without glasses. Well, I can tell you how that is, because when you squint, it causes your eyeball to change shape. You can do the same thing by pushing on your eyes. You can change the focus. So that's really what the squinting is doing. And also, for some people, um, it just has varied effects. But I think that's what I was explained to a while ago. I've heard that being a little more conscious of blinking is helpful for eye health. Yes, blinking moisturizes the eye. Yes, it does. Now, my dad always had eye problems. He used to use those eye wash. He had a blue bottle. He'd put in a little cup and then go like that all the time. He used eye drops. He always had red eyes. And eventually he ended up with glaucoma, lost his eyesight in the left eye. They had to put a valve in it to reduce the pressure. And the right eye wasn't that great either. And the thing is, my dad was very much into the health foods, the wheat germ, the whole grains, and all that stuff. And it was it was kind of interesting because he gave me tofu, which I used to hate. I used to call that duck food, like duck food, but it was just awful, and then some of the other stuff was just really bad. I mean, the brewer's yeast wasn't so bad. I did love the cod liver oil that they used to give me because that was supposed to help you grow taller, and it may have worked. I don't know, but I always loved the cod liver oil, and I like raw liver. That's another thing that I like. I'm just not a big fan of the veggies. The juices, that was the other thing my dad had. I still have the juicers that my dad had. He got one of them champion juicers. You probably saw the parody video I made about more than a year ago about green juice, because it was always, put the green juice and the fruits and all that in there, and it was just absolutely horrible. Okay, let's see what else we have here. I've heard that being a little more conscious of blinking. Okay, I saw that. Yes, I think that using phones or doing too much up close work causes myopia. Yes, it does. And I think they had a study in China where they observed that. I had robotic double in inguinal hernia repair, yes, which they blame on a structural weak point. Yeah, there you go. I agree with that. Now, I actually have a hernia that I've never had treated because I don't like the doctor when I had that car accident. And it'll pop out from time to time and I'll stick it back in. But it really doesn't really hurt, It's just something I keep after. I don't really have any aches or pains. Like I said, I don't have any joint pains, nothing hurts. And I always have plenty of energy. So that's good. All I had when I got up this morning was steak and eggs, and my energy's fine. Most of the other people I know, when they get up, they drag, they have to have their coffee. I have my iced water. That's my thing. In fact, I may have a little bit of that. Okay, let's see. I remember when you juice that. Exactly. Yes. I got some vines and grass. I was talking about wheatgrass. Oh, we put actual grass. And then I took a sip of it. It was so nasty. I had to spit it out. It's terrible. Okay, somebody, squinting changes the shape of the eyeball. Yes. Okay, question from Jonathan. I love this. When you started your way of eating, did you go straight up to 3 to 4 pounds of meat, or did it take time to build up? Many do not. Yes, it did take time to build up. When I started my diet, I think I was probably eating maybe half a pound of meat because like 2 little 1/4 pound burgers. So I was probably eating half a pound, but it quickly went up because what happened, I remember in the summer of '83, and I was, like I said, I was here in this house, and I remember, telling myself, I'm not going to eat them nasty vegetables anymore. I hate those things. And I kind of pretended like I was eating the vegetables, but I was definitely eating the meat. And I would go to the Grand Union down the street on my bicycle, and I had plenty of money. I didn't get an allowance, but I did a lot of lawnmower repairs for the neighborhood kids. Back then, kids used to cut grass. Now we have people from other countries that do it. But yeah, and I started to increase. And I remember, I'm just trying to think. By the time I was in high school, I was eating, I think I had tuna sometimes, and I had like this canned chili that they used to have at Pantry Pride, which was basically just tomato sauce and meat. But at home, I was just eating hamburger meat, steak. I ate liver. I would say that by the end of 10th grade, I was eating about 3 to 4 pounds of meat per day, and I was eating 6 eggs. By the time I got to college, I increased to a dozen eggs a day. And I think by the time I was in college, like in '86, that's when I reached the full 5 to 6 pounds of meat a day, which I've been on ever since. So yeah, but it was kind of gradual. It wasn't sudden. But the thing was, I don't get full. This is the problem. And I can eat more and more meat. But then what eventually happens when I go to stand up, then I feel like, oh, I can barely swallow. So I learned my lesson. Don't eat more than 4 pounds of meat, because if you do, you're gonna. I've actually gotten to the point where I couldn't even breathe because the esophagus was so full of food, and I'd have to spit some of it up, which was just very frustrating because I'd enjoyed all that delicious meat and then I have to waste it. But yeah, I've learned, and I don't get hungry. This is the other thing. I've never been hungry, but the temptation is very high. When I go by a barbecue place or I go to the meat section of the store, that's when I start getting cravings. And I'll get cravings usually like right now. After this I'll go to Fresco y Mas and buy some of that 3.98 a pound T-bone steak, and I'm going to get cravings. And I've had times when I had serious meat cravings and I would just eat the meat raw. Now, this case I'm going to use a bicycle, and it's only like a 15-minute trip, so that's fine. But if I was going, let's say I was going down like on a vacation or a road trip, sometimes I'd get hungry on the road and I'd want to eat raw meat, and that's something that would happen. I tend to get hungrier when I'm driving than I do when I'm just doing things around the house, because I think I get distracted and there's a lot of things going on. All right, Rick, because of your good health, you would probably be a candidate for robotic hernia repair. Okay, which is only 3 pencil thing. That's interesting. I have to look into that if I ever get medical care again. I wish my teenage daughter would take food from home to school. Yes, nowadays they do not like school food and other food delivered if they have money. Okay. Question: do you slick your hair with tallow or bacon grease, or does it vary? Yes. I generally use lard, the pure white lard, as you can see. You don't see a lot of gray hairs, do you? And I don't color my hair. So that's the other thing. I've had had people accuse me of coloring my hair. I said, no, I don't. But normally I use lard because it is easier to spread on and it does not have a smell. If you use beef tallow, you're going to smell like beef. And I hate to say it, when you get in the hot sun, I start smelling like a hamburger and I get hungry, and I get really hungry. So, okay, let me see. I had a double and we know her. Okay, for years, and finally did go get. Yeah, I agree, Ray. That's a good idea. I mean, you work on a farm, so it's not hard to imagine that you would get a hernia from all the work that you do. You're a very active guy. If you haven't seen his channel, check out Michigan Hay. I love his channel because you get the real farming knowledge. This guy is like a wealth of knowledge. He knows a lot about biology. So I would definitely watch his channel. Okay, what else do we have here? here in Los Angeles area, our equivalent to fresco de mas is El Super. Okay, that's good to know. I'm glad you have one there. Okay, Jonathan, when you record yourself cycling around town, it reminds me of CJ from GTA on the pavements, moving down pedestrian. Oh, okay, mowing down pedestrian. All right, well, I do go around the pedestrians. I don't think I've hit one yet. I have hit a dog once that cut in front of me, and I went flying and I landed on the ground. I also hit a coconut tree. I was riding, the wheel came off my bike. Sidewalks here have very large cracks and so on where the tree roots have lifted them up, and I ended up hitting a tree. And what I did, I scraped my forehead, and I injured my lip, but it healed pretty quickly. So, okay, let's see. Dr. Nelson says, not all hernias need to be repaired unless you ask the surgeon. Yes, it's causing symptoms that it may need to be repaired. That's a good point. That is a good point. Okay, Bob, LOL, yes. Jonathan says, Rick's hair is real, no colorization or product apart from natural animal fat. That is correct. Now, my parents and other people told me that all that lard was going to cause my hair to fall out. But they also told me that putting lard on my skin would cause acne. And I am the only kid. And if you see any pictures of me from high school or junior high or whatever, I never had acne in my life. So I think because I started carnivore before I hit puberty, I never had acne. And even though I'm always shaved, I do grow a lot of facial hair. So, I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but, it's just, I don't like the look. Most of my friends, in fact, everybody I know has some type of facial hair, and that's fine. And on some people, it looks really good. But I think on me, it looks terrible. So I usually just cut it off. Now, that may change in the future. I don't know. But I kind of I'm like a 50s. I love the 1950s. So I don't know. But I kind of I'm like a 50s. I love the 1950s. So I try to look like the 50s. This is where I came up with this wacky hairdo. You don't see too many people do that anymore. But it was definitely my whole 50s thing. And everything about the way I live is similar. If I was in the 50s, I tell everybody, if I would have had my choice, I would have been born in Miami in 1930. That way I could have grown up in the 40s and 50s and 60s. And I would have been perfectly happy here. I would be 94 years old now if I hadn't had my heart attack already. And then again, I have a feeling that I would still be active. So who knows? Let's see. We thought my hernia was only on one side, but 2 days before the surgery, both sides started hurting. Okay. And the hernia specialist did both. Okay. Now, the polyester implants would kind of make me worry because I would think about microplastics. That was the one thing. I know they use a mesh. So I was kind of skeptical about that. But who knows? I figured maybe one day they would come up with some kind of bioequivalent or some way of getting your own body to grow back. So I don't know. But as Jonathan said before, when you have trauma, your body may repair itself in some unpredictable ways, and it's going to require surgical intervention. Okay, hernia specialist on YouTube, Dr. Sharon. Okay, I learned a lot from her. That's good to know. So anyway, so we have any more questions? Or I'm glad that you're here. Let's see how many we have. Oh, wow, we have 24. Amazing. I couldn't believe that there's that many people out there that would take their time to watch a quack like me. Incredible. I'm happy about that. What I really am looking forward to is that one day I'm going to get to meet more of you, especially once I get my truck fixed. There's a few of you here in Florida I'd like to meet up with, and I know that there's some type of event they have in Tampa. So no one's invited me to anything. I don't think anybody wants to invite me to an event because they'll look at me and they'll go, man, I don't, this guy's crazy. Can you imagine if I went on the carnivore diet, I'd end up a quack like this guy. I mean, he's taller than Dr. Sean Baker, but he's skinny as a vegan. So the only difference, I think, is that a skinny carnivore versus a skinny vegan, I think the skinny carnivore would win every time. Because even though I'm toothpick thin, I'm really a lot stronger than I look. I can pick up an engine block and I do all kinds of physical work. I don't get tired easily. I can take the heat even though I don't like it. My poor vegan friends, they're just, it's sad to watch them. I have to admit, this one girl that I've known for years, it just makes me really sad. She suffers needlessly because she will not eat any animal products. I said, if you just ate some eggs, I mean, come on. Get some. They live in a nice neighborhood where they could have chickens. Why not get some chickens? Eat some eggs. Are you against eating fish? She complains about the iguanas eating her vegetables. Why wouldn't you want to eat one of them? I don't know. I don't know what to say. I try my best, but I think a lot of times people ignore me. Okay, let's see here. Bob says, get your truck fixed well enough to bring Bob to West Texas. Well, hey, if I could, you know what I need to do? I need to find you somebody out there that has a good deal on a Bobcat. I keep telling you, you need to buy a piece of equipment. Don't torture yourself digging by hand. Get yourself a skid steer, a Bobcat, a mini excavator, whatever it is. You can have fun. You know, it's like when we were kids and we had the Tonka toys in the sandbox, and you're over there with the little Tonka crane. It's the same thing. It's not hard to do. Anybody can learn how to use equipment. I mean, if you look at the kind of people that run equipment, they're not exactly the brightest bulb in the box. So you could figure it out. It's no problem. And Rachel Fitzpatrick says, Rick, you're enjoyable to watch and listen to. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad that I'm enjoyable to watch because actually I like watching myself too when I do a video. I actually laugh at some of the jokes that I make, which is kind of interesting. I know some people do not like to watch themselves. I'm the opposite. I always have. I've been kind of outgoing ever since I started. Even before the carnivore diet, I was kind of the class clown type kid. So question. I know you don't eat bacon lately, but I just did, and a couple of pieces were slightly undercooked. That shouldn't be a problem. Correct. No, it shouldn't be a problem because bacon is generally cured with all kinds of salts. It's cut thin. Your chance of getting sick from bacon is probably the same as getting struck by lightning. I don't know anybody. I know people that have eaten undercooked bacon. I don't know anybody that's ever gotten sick. There's just too much curing that goes on. Okay, that's for sure. Good morning. Good morning, Ellie. Good morning. Glad to have you here. I should say that fear of eating meat. I guess the fear of eating meat that is undercooked is bullcrap. Well, it depends on your source of meat. I think that most modern meats are raised in conditions where, I mean, obviously they give these things medications and parasite medications. So I would be very careful with wild meats. Even the iguanas and ducks, I make sure that I cook them thoroughly because you never know what you're going to get. So, but store-bought meat, I don't know anybody. The only people I know that have suffered food poisoning have been from rice and pasta that was leftovers. And those are pretty bad. So you want to watch that. The meat, I think with our acidic stomachs, if you're a healthy person, especially if you have a good combination of foods, different meats and so on, you'll be fine. I've been eating meat out of the dumpster from the grocery store, and I ate it, and I never got sick. I've never gotten sick, and that's it. Okay, fear, yes. Nellie says, I think this is such a good idea, Live with Rick. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And Dr. Nelson says, Fresco y Mas has a limit. Yes, maximum 2. That is correct. I got 2 yesterday. I went twice. The only thing is they do get your phone number, but I'm clever. I have 3 phone numbers, so I have 3 different Fresco y Mas accounts, so I can get it 3 times. So that works really well, and they don't know the difference. Okay, sure, that's true also. Yes. Well, I'm really happy. Okay, you want to avoid eating raw meat of an animal that was yeah, well, that's true. The antibiotics, and that is a problem. But I do have my own theory, and I think that if you have a good bacterial colony in your system, and again, for some people, I think that you should be making yogurt. I eat yogurt pretty much every day. And for other people, I'm trying to get my vegan friends to do this. You should be making sauerkraut or kimchi. And the thing is, I make kimchi for my friends. I've eaten some of it. It's a little spicy for me. I'm not really that crazy about it. But I got ginger and garlic and onions from the yard, and they're all fermented together. And I think that for some people, not everybody, because some people are really damaged and you need to eat just the meat and drink water. But I think for some people, you could eat those bacteria. And I think, even though you're eating antibiotics, I think that some bacteria can actually overwhelm that. Plus, with the ruminant animals, I think a lot of that, I mean, if antibiotics were in their stomach to the point, they would simply die because they use bacteria to digest food. So I think when you're eating ruminant animals, you're probably a lot better off than, the monogastrics like the pigs and the chickens and so on. But I do believe that, it's limited. And I think if you can avoid taking antibiotics yourself, I've never been on an antibiotic, and I've had several, cuts and injuries, and I've been in the dirt and septic tanks and all kinds of nasty places. And I've never suffered any kind of infection that needed an antibiotic. And that's pretty good after 56 years. So I think being healthy, having good circulation, my blood pressure, I mean, I could test it now. It was like nothing, I have low blood pressure, but I have no symptoms. Okay, let's see. What I say, the supermarket name, El Super. Exaggerate the Spanish from El Super. Okay, yes, I know. How's your cat doing? Is it still remodeling? But you know what? I think it's about time that I bring my little fur ball in here so he can terrorize. So give me a minute. I'll bring him in. Hold on. And there he is. Come here, baby. Come on. There's my little buddy. Look at that cute little kitten. Yes. You calm down a little bit? Oh, just. Oh, my goodness. You're so cute. What a nice little pet. Look at that. Look at that cute little guy. Say hi. Uh-oh. And ouch. You love to bite. Stop biting. Hey, ow. Ow. You are a bad pussy cat. Look at that. Look at him. He loves to bite. He can't resist biting. Look at those teeth. Look at those vicious little teeth. Look at that. He's a little carnivore. He's a little monster. Okay. Silly puss. Look at that. I'll tell you. That's why I had to put him out. What's your kitty's name? I call him Milton, but I haven't really decided if I'm going to keep that name. Oh, there he goes. Let's see if he raises my blood pressure. I've been over there chasing around this little beast. Okay, let's see. It should be normal. I see this was the old one. 91/69. And he bites. Wow. You little biter. You are a silly pet. You know that? Crazy cat. No. And he managed to scratch me too, the little beast. Okay. No, don't eat that. You know how cats are. Now see, after chasing Milton around, it's gone up. No, stop it. Don't eat the Bobcat manual. No, I need that. Silly pet. Yeah, the thing is, I had to tell the doctors about this a long time ago because they said that my blood pressure was way too low. And the thing is, it'll go up once you move around. Okay. Yeah, see, he loves to bite. I mean, this little guy, it'll be all right. He gets a little rambunctious. But I'll tell you one thing, if any rodents come in this house, they're going to have a big surprise when the little monster gets him. And when he calms down, he's super friendly. He'll sit on top of you and purr and act like a really good cat. Okay, let's see here. Ear infection. Okay, Milton snarl. The star of this channel is camera shy. Well, yeah, not really. He was all over the camera when I started it. That's the funny thing. Okay, my pit bull has never let me. Milton, don't eat that. Never bit me. Oh, yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, a friend of mine has had several pit bulls, and they're super friendly dogs. I always like them. So, yeah, if I had a dog, it would be a big one. I hate the little teeny dogs. I don't know why. But if I want a small animal, I'll get a cat. I love cats because we can eat the same stuff and we seem to get along pretty well. He's over there laying waste to a pile of papers in the trash can. Wow, he's a little monster. So anyway, yeah, that's good. So again, it's been about an hour, and do you have any more comments or questions, or would you like to go to the other live stream? I mean, you have old guy Carnivore over there with his coffee and cigars, and you have me with my crazy cat and dumpy old house. So let's see. So anyway, I just want to give you a heads up on what's coming. Yeah, have a great day. Yes, Bob. Have a great day. I have a little bit that's going on now. Obviously, I'm trying to get an engine for my truck, so that'll be a series of videos there. There are several videos that I want to make about the carnivore lifestyle, and there are several videos I want to make about environmental issues. Um, Once I can get my computer to cooperate or find another one, then I'm going to do that. And I think that a lot of the YouTube channels now, they've been concentrating on sort of being flashy and trying to impress people. And again, I realize I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm going to keep my simple and straightforward style. But what I would like to do is maybe have, if I can't get the computer to work, I'll put a monitor on the back of the wall and then do some of these, just basic information. And that's it. So again, I see, okay, good night, goodbye. Yes, English Bull Terrier, okay. Tiny dogs have small dog complex. They do. It's like the Chihuahuas. They tend to be a little mean. I've had homes that I worked in, and one of the little dogs would bite me, and I'd grab the thing by the head and almost rip its head off. And then usually the lady would kind of, I don't know. Hard to say. People are horrified when you have their little fluff ball in your hand and you look like you're going to snap its neck off. But I don't like being bitten, even if the animal is cute. And again, my little cat, he nipped at me, but it's no problem because that was kind of me asking for it. Okay, let's see. Carnivore Kip has the flash and bait. No thanks. Well, I think a lot of times people do that as a way to get interest, and I'm not going to criticize them for it. If they like to do that, that's fine. But you can choose not to watch the videos, and that's the great thing about YouTube. You can choose a channel that you like. If you want to watch a true quack, you can hit my channel, and that's fine. Okay, have a great sleep. I try to keep my videos simple. Yes, Ellie, that is very true. I don't want to have flashy and sort of clickbait type videos. You're not going to see me out there driving around in a Lamborghini, living in some crappy condo that's white, black, and gray. It's always going to be me. And even when I move to my whatever new home I'm going to be in, I'm going to have my good old, instead of this cheap paneling, I'm going to have the real cypress or pine paneling that I'll make myself. And I'll have my books and I'll have all my old stuff. And of course, I always got my phone and I'll do my call-ins. I can even do it the old-fashioned way with the phone. They do have the streaming software. I don't have the money for that right now, so I'm just using the YouTube. But, it is possible. I do have a mixer, and I've done it before. I could do an old-style radio call-in show, and that would be fine. But at the very least, at least I can be here, and I can answer your questions directly, which is really nice. And as you know, a lot of times when I'm in the multiple group chats, I don't say much. I try to let everybody else talk, but when it's my chat, you can't shut me up. So that's just one of those things, And I keep talking. And one thing that I've had people tell me, which you could comment on if you agree, that I'm one of the very few people that can do continuous chat without having to edit. I don't use the word whiskers, the and ah and whatever. So I tend to have, I guess you would call it a clear, concise thought. And I do attribute that to the carnivore diet and to the low stress lifestyle. So I think that's a good thing as well. Okay. I didn't know you had a channel and just subscribed. Huh. Well, DS111, thank you. I'm glad you did. Trying to keep it. Yes, one day at a time. So that's fantastic. And again, I'm just so happy that you're here, and I'm happy if you enjoy this. Maybe we can pick a time together. I'm generally off on Friday and Saturday. I don't know what time you like, and I've kind of interfered with, Mitch's live stream, which is, I didn't intend to. And again, you could watch either one. You could switch to his or whatever. But I tend to be here until the comments and questions stop. and I think they have slowed down a bit. But yeah, I'm so glad. I really am. I think this has been a pretty good experience. I'm going to work on the connection issues. I think I know what the problem is. And the problem is a little black fur ball that I call Milton that decided to remodel. In fact, I'll show you. This was the Ethernet cable that went from one room to the other. And Milton decided that it was a great toy. So, you know, that's just one of those things. Oh, look, we got Haitia's liver. Okay, there we go. Just made it. Yeah, I see. I got another person that popped in. That's great. But yeah, again, I'm just happy that you're here, and I'm glad that you had some questions and some of my favorite commenters. I mean, there's a couple of you that comment regularly on my videos, and a couple of you that have your own channels, and I definitely like to participate. So that's great. And it's kind of nice because it's a great way to start the day. You can get to talk to people. Hopefully I've been encouraging to somebody, and at the very least I may have provided some comedy relief, because again, I really do not like internet influencers, the people that go out there and they tell you what to do. You need to do this, you need to buy this product, you need to sign up for my coaching course or whatever. I don't like that. That kind of bothers me. I want to be just with friends or be entertained or whatever. And a lot of times when you go with your friends, they're not trying to sell you stuff. Can you imagine if you go to your friend's house and then maybe like in the old days they try to get you to buy that Amway crap or Shakely vitamins or whatever? That's just not respectful. I mean, what kind of friendship is that? If you got somebody there that you're associating with and they're trying to sell you something, that to me that's just not. But then again, I don't like salespeople anyway. I don't like people selling me stuff. You know, what I like is that if I need something and I'll go to a person that may have access to it or a person that has advice and I'll ask them. And that's fine. That's great. But to have someone push, well, you have to do this and you have to do that. If you want to be healthy, you got to eat the carnivore diet. You got to eat just meat and drink water and this and that. That's not very good. I may laugh at duck food. Yeah, I'm not going to criticize somebody that's eating their pumpkin pie. But if they offer a piece to me, that's when I say, ew, that's nasty. I wouldn't eat that duck food. That's when I do it. But you know what? If you want to eat it, go ahead. And it's like, you've seen me. I go and harvest fruit from my own yard. I give it to my friends. You want some bananas? You want avocados? I got them. Come and get them. And I can say I got some of the best bananas and avocados and loquats and any fruit that you can imagine. They're 100% natural and they're not harvested by, underpaid labor. You can harvest it yourself or I'll get it for you. I don't mind walking out there, cutting some bananas down, that's great. But then I know other people, they try to sell you the latest cryptocurrency. And again, I was an early adopter of Bitcoin. I thought it was great, but I got out of it when it was over $100 a Bitcoin. Oh, Rick, you missed so much money. I said, yeah, but I realized that it was turning into basically a scam. Because really, when it comes down to it, a person shouldn't be getting paid a lot of money unless they're providing some type of value. And what value are producing by speculating on real estate, speculating on cryptocurrency, speculating on who knows what else, just getting the inflation from the Federal Reserve. And that's ridiculous. Okay, let's see what we have here. DS111, I have a friend who's trying to sell me conspiratorial ideas. I quit. Well, there you go. The tinfoil hat types, the chemtrails, and I forget. There's all kinds of conspiracies out there. The what is that one that was real popular a few years ago? The Illuminati. That's another one. It's crazy. I had cryptocurrency, but suddenly had a banking issue and had to get out. See, and it was so hard to get the money. Exactly. Cryptocurrency to me doesn't make sense unless you get something real for it. Now, if I was going to create a cryptocurrency, and I've actually thought about doing this, I would like it backed up with something like meat. So I would have like egg coin or beef coin or something like that, where every crypto unit would give you a certain amount of meat or a certain amount of eggs. But in order for that to work, the farmers would have to accept it, and you'd probably have to provide materials and labor. Because the thing is, in order to produce that meat, it's going to require materials, equipment, it's going to require labor. And how many people would actually be willing to go out there and do the labor associated with getting their food? I see DS-111, I lost money. Well, of course. Almost every single one of these, they have survivorship bias. The person who makes money is the one that you see, but you never see the thousands or even millions of others that lose money. Because in order for someone to get something for nothing, somebody's going to have to give something. So you got these people over there that act like there's some genius. Oh, I'm a genius. I made $1 million on these stock picks. Well, just because you made $1 million means that 1 million people probably lost $1. That's kind of the way it works. Money comes from hard work, ingenuity, and sometimes yes, because really what money is just a legalized form of reduced entropy. And as you know, one of the things that sets me apart from everybody else in carnivore or other communities is that I am a 100% believer in the second law of thermodynamics. All the diet people, they talk about the first law of thermodynamics, which, the calories in, calories out nonsense. But the second law of thermodynamics is the one that I find is the most important. William McCartney. I have a friend whose son invested in a huge company, only invested $20,000, cashed out for over $400,000. Yes, if you happen to be in at the right time, you can get a lot of money. But the thing is, in the future, what's going to happen? Most people that are going to get in after that are going to lose money. You have to see, there's nothing wrong with making money from investment. Investment is actually a very good way to make money because you're taking a risk. Let's say you have a friend and their job is building fences and they're using a post hole digger, a hand post hole digger, and they can only put in a certain amount of fence every day. And you loan them the money to buy a bobcat. He goes out there, he gets a bobcat. Now he can move materials, drill fence posts. Now he can put in 4 times as much fence. He's making more money. He can pay you back. And because you risk the money to buy him that equipment, you're entitled to some type of return because that's how you get investors to invest. So that kind of investment is good. And it's like the stock market. If it wasn't all rigged by the Federal Reserve and easy money and lowered interest rates, if it was real people in the market, it'd be a great way to get money because instead of having to go out there and work for a living, you could actually save some money without inflation taking it away from you. And then you can invest in other people who have a better business model. So you may lose your job through technology, but on the other hand, you're an owner in a company that produces the technology. Oh, that cat. Milton, what are you doing? I can't believe it. He climbed up on the light fixture. What is wrong with you? Get over here, you silly animal. Look at this. He's wrecking everything. Okay, you know what I'm going to do with you? I'm going to put you out. Okay, it's too much. I can't deal with this. Ow, 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 ow. No more biting. Let's go. Hey, get over here. No. Bad kitty. No. Okay. You got to hold that little head. He bites. Okay, let's go. Out. Wow. Sorry about that. This is probably the craziest live stream you've ever seen. This crazy animal went up on the light fixture all the way on the top of the ceiling, and he was knocking things down from the top shelf, books and everything. It's crazy. But anyway, what I was saying is there's nothing wrong with investment. There's nothing wrong with passive income, but it has to be in a way that is fair and balanced. You can't have a system rigged for a select few to borrow money for next to nothing and buy up everything and put everybody else out of business, then jack up the prices and take advantage of people and have inflation that keeps going up. We have to come up with a way that connects our needs with our production. Especially us carnivores. We need meat and eggs and we need these things ourselves. So either we can produce them ourselves or we have to ally ourselves with people that can. And I think in my case, if I could move somewhere where people did produce the meat locally, then I could use my expertise. And I have a lot of different talents. I can build things. I can repair things. I can solve a lot of problems. So if I connected with the right people, I would be able to get that connection of the food. Then the only thing I have to worry about is the government, which is always trying to tax you. They always tend to take away from what you produce. But there are ways around that. And I think if you got into a county where you had your people in the commission, you could modify the property tax structure, you could reduce expenses quite a bit. And I think there's a lot of people out there that they would love to have that old nostalgic life, that 50s or 40s or whatever, the old fashioned small town. You have whole theme parks that are designed to getting certain effects. I would think that having a small town where you had like-minded people, that would be kind of nice because you'd have individual businesses. It wouldn't be a big corporation like Disney, for example. I hate that place. You have these big corporations that make stupid decisions, and then when they lose money, they just borrow more money to keep going. And their way is get rid of the competition. But if you had a small amount of people that work together, I think it would work. And again, I'm not talking about any kind of collectivism. I'm not talking about socialism because that doesn't work. The idea is to give people the materials they need to make the decision. If they want to do something constructive, they can do that. If they don't want to do something constructive, then they can simply just not do it and maybe starve or go somewhere else. You create an environment that stimulates innovation and makes people want to do things rather than trying to force them to do it. You have to do this. You have to buy an electric car. Yet, no, you don't want to do that. Look at me. I don't have an electric car and I use less energy than anybody else because I do a lot of recycling and I believe in working with the environment, not against it. Okay, let's see. How many comments have I missed? Milton, don't eat that. Yeah. All right. Um, let's see. Okay. On Carnivore, my energy at work doing drywall work is incredible. Yesterday, 8 straight hours with no break. See what I mean? You can do that because you're using your stored fat. That's great. It was okay. Short. Yeah. Short-term thing. Milton, don't eat that. Pussycat vow. Yeah. Cheers, Rick. Yeah. Right, Jonathan? Agreed. Oh, that cat. Yeah, the light up on the ceiling. It's just amazing how he got up there. He climbed up the bookcase. He's a menace. He climbs up on my TV and attacks it. If I lived in Florida and had an issue, I would get to Rick, sort out my broken stuff. Yes, I give him the spare parts too. Right, Jonathan? See, Jonathan knows. You ask people that can help you, and that's you can't go wrong with that. Let's see. Government cash. Redacted. Okay, McCartney. I just subscribed. Yes. All right. Looking forward. I don't want to build muscle, but want to learn. Well, you know what? Even if you don't want to build muscle, it's kind of nice to learn because you might know somebody else that will. And I think that a lot of older people, they really should think about building muscle because if you can, which I think a lot of people can, they just don't make the effort, it can help you a lot. Now, I would like to build muscle as well. I'm just not in the right position. I don't have the right setup. I don't have enough food because I already eat a lot and I work physically. But if I ever got into work where I didn't have to work physically, let's say I was doing more work online, then yes, I would definitely, absolutely start a workout program because I could see that if I didn't do anything, it wouldn't be good. It'd be easy to become weak and that would not be good. All right, let's see. Describe electric cars scare the life out of me. The weird worry exactly. And you know what? I've had several customers that I had to build them an outdoor charging pedestal because they were afraid to charge too close to the house, and I don't blame them. In fact, one of my customers, I've done a lot of technology work for. He has two. He has a Tesla Model S, which is an older luxury Tesla, and he has one of those silly Cybertrucks, which I like to make fun of. But hey, if you want to buy the silly thing and drive around looking like a stainless steel block or wedge, that's fine. But yeah, charging them near the house, he was charging them with the dryer outlet in the garage. I said, look, if this thing catches fire, your house is done. So they have a nice big yard. So we ran it 50 feet away from the house, and now they can charge both of them. I put him a 60 amp circuit, and I used the good Bryant electric plugs. The electrician that did the work originally used some Leviton, which is not very good. The terminals they have they're phosphor bronze, but they don't have any kind of spring on them. So you plug that thing in and out a few times, it gets loose and it'll just melt. And that's what started to happen. It was melting. But I made him a nice one. And I did another one over there in Pinecrest. They have we did a custom one. It almost looks like a mailbox and it works really well. And, Yeah, but you know what? If you want to have an electric car, and again, they go downtown, they sit in traffic, it makes sense because they live in Pinecrest, they go up US 1, they go to the Brickell area, that's where their office is. And the electric car is great, but I wouldn't, I mean, for me, if I live in the country, what good is an electric car? If you got to drive 50, 60 miles on a trip, it's going to be a problem because then you got to charge the thing. Okay, let's see. Yeah, electric, okay. Open mind is critical nowadays. Yes, Jonathan, it is. It's very important because we never know it all. You could learn everything that you think you know, and you haven't even gotten the basics of how things work. I've gone through this with my gardening, and you know me, I'm a fanatic when it comes to gardening. And we've done several environmental sort of, I don't know what you call them. They're like, we're trying to restore little environments, usually pine lands and stuff like that. And I figured out ways of doing it, the procedure, certain plants you plant. And I've had to argue with experts, people that have degrees, and they laugh at me. And we do an experimental plot, and it turns out that my experimental plot does better than theirs. So I said, look, when you think you know everything, you haven't even started. You need to keep that mind open. Okay, now we have here DS111. Because I pushed very hard yesterday to get all the mud on to dry today and tomorrow, will be easy. Yeah, see, short days. Yeah, that's the thing. Once you've got all the mud on there, then you can go ahead and sand it down. So it's better to put extra. Now, I hate drywall myself. I would never use drywall in any house that I build. I do it with lime plaster or gypsum plaster. Gypsum is like, you know, that's a compromise. But normally I like to use lime plaster, and I'm such a fanatic, I like to make the lime myself. I get coral rocks, I put them in a charcoal fire, and I let that thing burn for like 12 hours. Then I put water on it to slake the lime, and then I mix it with sand. It's like 3-to-1. So I'm a big fan of traditional plaster. That's what, well, this house has gypsum plaster, but you know, traditional plaster is what I like. And the thing about traditional plaster is that because it is lime, mold and mildew cannot grow on it. And that's the benefit. So if you're like me and you like to live as much as you can without air conditioning, although I'm using air conditioning in this room, you would definitely want to have the lime plaster. But drywall is what is used. It's just when I go into a building and see drywall, I see it as being cheap. And again, when I build my room, some of the rooms will have gypsum board, but they're going to be covered up with pine paneling or cypress. Cypress is my favorite. Although cypress wood is not legally sold, I do know where there are cypress trees that I can cut down in addition to dead ones, and I can mill those. I do have a router table, and I'm trying to get a shaper, so I will make my own paneling. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Jonathan says my subscribers like the theory of training and diet, which is pretty cool. Yes, specific interest, for example, Japanese cooking. Okay, although I wouldn't eat most of far from Wagyu. Yeah, I agree with that. But you know, there's nothing wrong. You know, you can cook for your friends that are not carnivore, and that's fine. I do that all the time. You know, I make my heart attack fries. That's not carnivore, but yet they seem to enjoy it. Cybertruck looks like a refrigerator to me. Yes. Cybertruck looks like a dumpster fire. Well, it does kind of look like a dumpster. Looks like a stainless steel dumpster, especially when the back is open. Cybertruck looks like a cat. I didn't love the texture. Hey, Lambs, there you are. What's going on? What's up, guys? There we go. Oh, man, when is it? My husband is in judo and 2 kiddos by myself. Ellie, might not be good if I yell at kids all the time. Yeah, that's true. Haha, that's fair enough. It's at 4 p.m. UK time. Okay. Now, I went in the morning because I figured some of the UK people might want to view my stream because later on you'd be in bed and I don't want to keep you up late. Is lime plaster the best for not getting mold, or is another material that might be better? Okay. No air conditioner, Ireland. Yes. Let me tell you, the gypsum plaster won't grow mold either, but the problem with gypsum is it's calcium sulfate, and calcium sulfate can actually get into the air if it's not pure. It's like the Chinese drywall. They were getting calcium sulfate from basically coal ash, and that can corrode copper. But the problem with gypsum is that gypsum is not like lime. Gypsum is a material that it can absorb water, and what it will do, it will swell up. Now, I have some leaks in the old part of the house in my living room. It's got gypsum board and gypsum plaster, and it's actually sagged down. It's sagged down a couple of inches in a couple of places. But mold will not grow on gypsum, but it will grow on the paper that's used for drywall. Drywall is made out of gypsum, but when it absorbs water, it expands. Now, lime is actually a carbon negative material because when it takes carbon dioxide to produce lime. Lime is made from calcium carbonate. So when you heat it up, you turn it to calcium oxide. So that releases carbon dioxide. But when you make the lime plaster, you're going to turn it into, what is it? It's going to be carbon hydroxide. I think it's carbon hydroxide. Wait a minute. It's carbon oxide. Yes, carbon hydroxide when you put a little bit of water to slake the lime. And then when the lime cures and gets hard, it pulls carbon dioxide into it and it goes back to calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is a rock you started with. And as you know, rocks are not going to fall apart in water. So if you make lime plaster, they used to put bricks with this stuff. A lot of the old bricks were done with lime mixed with sand. The problem with the lime is it is a very fine material. So if you use it by itself, it's going to shrink like mud and crack. So what you want to do is put sand in there or some other aggregate, as they call it. And that creates the spaces in between. So when it shrinks, you get that tension going on. So, and the way they did it in the old days, they just took strips of wood. They put strips of wood along the wall. They nailed it up there, and then they put the plaster on it. Sometimes they would even put hair, like horse hair and stuff like that, to make the plaster more tense. Now, there's also what they call hempcrete. You can actually build with hemp, which is the stems from the cannabis plant. And I know there's some people out there that use cannabis as a medicine, which is perfectly fine, even if you're on the carnivore diet. So that waste material from the cannabis industry can actually be used to make building materials. And they just take lime and they put lime on that, and that creates what they call hempcrete, which is almost like concrete. So, and that will not grow mold either. Mold needs organic matter. And the thing is, lime is a very alkaline material. It's a caustic, and it breaks down that organic matter. It's like when you make soap. You take potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide, and you mix it with animal fat or vegetable fats, and you make soap. And again, that process means that there's nothing to feed the fungus that create the mold. So traditional old buildings, you could see them abandoned for years, falling apart, plaster falling off, and you never see any mold growing on the walls. Well, unless they've been painted with modern paint, like for example, latex paints or some of the modern paints, because those paints can be consumed by the bacteria, the mold, and so on. But lime itself cannot. Now, you could have what you call lichens or moss that grows on lime, but that requires a lot of moisture and it requires shade. But yes, if you build your house and you use lime plaster, you're not going to have to worry about mold or mildew, even if your house floods. Now, if you put the plaster over wood lath, the lath will expand and the plaster will come off. That's why you see a lot of these old buildings with plaster falling off. But if you use metal lath, it won't happen. The lime, it will absorb a little bit of water, but it can be dried out. So if your house was flooded, you could simply hose it down, let it dry out. You may have to patch a couple things, and that's it. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, that's when it is off. My husband. Okay, I read that. Okay, it is 11 p.m. Yep, it's okay. Lime plaster. That's right. Good morning, Rick. Everyone. Good morning, Mama Cracker. Good morning. Yes, drywall absorbed water from a pinhole water leak like crazy years ago. Pinhole leak absorbed 7 feet. Yeah, see, in 2 bathrooms together. And the thing is, a lot of times I've done bathroom remodels, and when you rip out the tub or sink or whatever, you pull the wall out, there's always fungus growing on the back of the drywall. It's inevitable. Now, when I built my bathroom, I used concrete block and I used styrofoam attached to the wall with mesh. And then over the mesh, I did the lime plaster. And I have had a leak in there for years, and it hasn't done any damage, and there's no mold or mildew growing in there. If you've ever noticed in the old tile bathrooms, the mildew grows on the grout and sometimes on the tile. It's actually feeding off of dead skin and soap particles. But the actual concrete and tile cannot grow mold or mildew. Okay, what type of paint doesn't grow mold on it? Well, believe it or not, the old oil paints, which are seed oil based, those are toxic, so the mold won't grow on it. Lead paint doesn't grow mold on it, but you probably wouldn't want to have that in your house. but that will not grow mold on it. Whitewash, which is basically just lime that they use to make things white, that doesn't grow mold. And also, you can actually use, let's say, like the old barn paint, where they use milk and then they use iron oxide. Now, there are certain bacteria that will grow on iron oxide, but the combination of protein and iron, you never see these old barns with mold and mildew growing on them because there's just nothing that it can really feed on. Okay, Jonathan says, Rick is a better teacher than most carnivores. I like how he draws from anecdotes and puts a positive spin on things. Yes, whenever I feel down, autism symptoms are particularly problematic. I watch, well, good for you, Jonathan. I'm glad that I'm a good influence on somebody, because sometimes I think I'm just a big old quack and people are laughing at me because I'm nuts. I'm the crazy carnivore that just, you know, doesn't really care what anyone thinks. I do care what people think. I like the fact that I can help people that I know, and I'm very happy that I've been able to encourage somebody, and that's fantastic, you know. So I'm glad that you're here, and that's why I'm still here. You know, I would have signed off a long time ago if nobody was participating, but yeah, I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for answering my moldy question. Well, there you go. I know a lot of different things. I don't know everything, but I do have experience. I've solved a lot of problems for people, and they'll ask me a question and I'll come up with an answer. And it's usually quite simple, although some can be quite complicated, you know. And I'm one of those people, I'm not going to tell you something is easy when it's not. You know, I've had people with electrical problems, and I tell them, you know, they're afraid their house is going to burn down. I said, well, let me take a look at it. And when I look at it, then I realize, oh, it's nothing. It's just a bad breaker. Or, oh, yes, whoever did the work here is very unsafe and something needs to be done. But hey, you know, that's what you got to do. Okay. Thank you for answering my question. Only question. Okay. Normal people are often boring. Yes, I like nutters. Well, that's me. I'm a total quack. You're not going to get bored with me, and that's a good thing. I agree. I like your energy, Rick. Well, thanks, Ellie. Authenticity and honesty are some of the values that I hope and seek in friends. Well, that's very smart of you, because that's what's really important. You know, having friends that are perfect, having friends that are rich are not the main thing. You know, if you have a rich friend that's an idiot, that's not going to do you any good, because they may have gotten that way just from luck. But if you have somebody who is actually trying to improve things, that's a good thing. Good morning, Rick. I see we have the unknown user here. The way Milton snarl abuses Rick and the rooms of vat affection. Well, you know what it is? I kind of ran out of raw meat, so I had to give him some cooked meat, and I really don't like giving my cats cooked meat, and I think he senses that. So I may have to give him raw pork because I don't have enough raw beef for him. I have some beef in the freezer that's thawing out, but that'll be okay. When I go to the store, I'm going to see what they have on markdown, and I'll check the dumpster. The dumpster at Aldi is about the only one that's accessible. The one in Winn-Dixie, I mean, you have to get there at the right time when they're first putting it out, because the dumpster itself has a compactor in it. So it's very difficult to get any of that stuff. And my friend that used to work there retired, so I got to look around and see. But it's just a matter of time. I'll find the right supermarket. The Presidente over here, I'm sure they throw stuff out, but my Spanish is terrible, and nobody there speaks any English. So I'm going to have to find a way. Maybe there's another online thing I can do. I used a program years ago to brush up on my Spanish, but you know, Espanol is just not my thing, even though I'm half Spanish or whatever, quarter Spanish or whatever I happen to be. But I got to work on that. That's one of those things that I need to do. Okay, let's see. Way Milton's sorrow. Yeah, that's true. I said that. But yeah, you know, I'm glad that I can be here and I can do this little bit of a live. Again, there's nothing professional about it. We're not doing any fancy. There's no music, although maybe I'll change that. But there's always a way of changing it, add stuff to it. But as long as people are able to communicate with me, I think that's the important thing. Okay, que triste. Spanish is not my thing either. My mom's side is Puerto Rican. Well, there you go. See, I'm not the only one. I have a cat too and pay for a low-carb canned food, which he likes a lot. Imagine how challenging it would be to have properly feed a medium to, yeah, exactly, medium to large size dog, exactly. Well, unless you happen to be someone that was, you know, processing meat or whatever, and you had access to a lot of scraps, then it would be good. But I have to admit, even though my cats are wacky, they do live a long time. They live anywhere from 16 to 21 years, and they never go to the vet. Well, they go to the vet once, which is to get fixed. And one day, Milton's going to get his nuts cut off, and he's not going to like me, just like Tiger didn't like me. But hey, it has to be done. Otherwise, I'm going to have cats all over the neighborhood, and I don't want to have that. I like to let them grow up as much as possible before they get that way at least he can mature. But hey, what can you do? That's we don't want to have these animals breeding and multiplying. There's enough stray cats out there as it is. We don't need to breed anymore. Okay, feeding to toddlers meat-based is hard enough. Yes, it is. Well, I'm glad that you are feeding your toddlers meat-based, because hopefully they will stay with it. Maybe they'll be like me and they won't want to eat anything else, and they'll be healthy, I hope. But there's no guarantees. I mean, anybody could have a health issue, even if you do eat a good quality meat-based diet. But at least, once in a while, I mean, it's hard to, I'd be interested in seeing, hopefully I'll live long enough where I can see them grow up and see if they become tempted by the food system. And again, if you're like me and one of your main interests is finance, you realize that the food system is actually taking advantage of people. And a lot of fortunes have been made by marketing low quality crap to the masses. And that really bothers me. And that's, I think, the main reason why I decided, let me join the carnivore community, because I could continue to eat meat without really telling anyone other than my friends. But it really makes me mad when I see how people are being taken advantage of. And the other thing is, if you go out along the coast or somewhere like that, you wouldn't believe how many wrappers and containers and everything from processed food there is out there in the ocean. I mean, it's not bad enough I have to look at all these ugly high rises and overdevelopment, but the water is just full of this garbage, and it's all created by the processed food industry. If everybody was living like I was, I don't think there'd be any of that. I mean, there'd be no cans, no bottles, there'd be no food wrappers. What would there be in the environment? You'd have paper, and you'd have bones and meat scraps and fruit peelings and vegetable peelings and all that. And all that stuff can be processed right on site. So, I don't know. You see, one of the principles that I have lived by my whole life, and I'm not talking about, how great the carnivore diet is, but I believe that you should only purchase and use products that you yourself participate in. So in other words, if you want to eat fruits and vegetables, you should either grow them yourself or purchase them from somebody who produces them in a way that you would participate in. So for example, go to a U-Pick farm. You go there and you pick it yourself. I really hate seeing people being exploited, people having to work jobs that are very difficult and dangerous and getting paid almost nothing. And then they're living in poor conditions. That bothers me. I hate that. That's something that really I'm against. And I know the meat industry isn't perfect, but I do believe that people who work in the meat industry, especially those that raise cattle, they have a higher standard of living than someone who, let's say, would be growing, I don't know, vegetables. Now, obviously, corn and wheat and soybeans is all mechanized, so you don't have a lot of exploited labor there. But then you have all of the chemicals and the chemistry that goes with it, the environmental damage. So there's a problem with that. But again, if you're buying avocados from the guy down the street growing organic avocados, and he's got a couple of guys over there picking them for you, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We have a few of them still down here. There's a couple of guys online I like to communicate with, because I like to grow avocados just for fun. I give them to my friends. I got some on my lot that I grew from seed. I have some that are grafted. I grow citrus fruits. I like the bananas. I love to grow different bananas, because again, if you can do something that you believe in, something that you would participate in, it's like, I wouldn't want to live in a McMansion because I wouldn't want to build such a monstrosity. And who's going to maintain it? I would be happy living in my little 900 square foot concrete box surrounded by plants. That's what I like. Now, I would have a large garage because I need that for my cars and the work that I do. I'm not just a car collector. I do work for other people. So if I have a home, I have a small home, but I would have a separate large shop. And that's why I have all the tools and supplies and everything I have. I'm not doing it to impress anybody. Everything I have is for a purpose. I keep things because I use them. I need this stuff. Everything here that I have is something that I use. I don't get things just for the heck of having them. I get things that I need, that I use. But some people buy things to try to impress people, and that really bothers me. I really don't see the sense of it. Because the thing is, you're not impressing me. If you're living in a McMansion and you're driving some overpriced exotic car, you're not impressing me. Now, on the other hand, if you were living in a 50 style house and you were driving a 69 Dodge Charger, I would be kind of impressed by that. I have to admit. But if you just bought it, I mean, that's one thing. But if you actually built it yourself, now you've impressed me. So I tend to judge the worth of a person by what they've been able to do with what they have. And that's important. So that's kind of my little rant over here. All right, let's see what we got here. I work in an apartment. They had two indoor cats. One was a volleyball, the other was diabetic. Wow. Volleyball. Huh, okay. Required shots. Oh, that's sad. My daughter didn't start meat-based, and she's already hooked on duck food. Oh, that's not good. My son is more aligned with lifestyle. Okay, we do the best we can. My daughter is doing so much better on mostly meat. Well, that's the start. You know, if you can just start them on mostly meat, that's good enough. And then the next step is get them off all the processed packaged foods. If you're going to eat meat and eat natural foods, I think you're 98% ahead of everybody else. Even if you're eating a bunch of fruit like Paul Saladino, if you're able to do that and you maintain a physique like that, it's fine. I mean, yeah, you're glycating yourself. Okay, that's unavoidable. But it's still better than eating processed food. And remember, it's not just the health effects of the processed food. It's the fact that you're supporting a system that exploits people. This is the problem. And again, if you are supporting a local farmer, that's good. If you want to buy vegetables, go ahead and buy vegetables. It's not going to hurt you. Well, it might hurt you, but maybe it doesn't. And I know a lot of people that have lived into their 90s and they ate vegetables and they ate fruits and they were fine. They had very few health issues. So again, if that's you, go ahead and do it. I'm happy about that. But, stay away from the processed stuff. And I hate to say it, I'm not really a big fan of the supplements and the vitamins and all that stuff. Those are good if you have a diagnosed deficiency. But to just take it, I think that's a mistake. Try to get it from the food if you can. All right, what else do we have here? I'm cat sitting my son's cat the next few weeks. He loves it here. There you go. He knows where the meat is. See, cats are pretty smart. My teenage daughter spends so much on Starbucks. Ew. And takeout. There's a first. Oh, how horrible. Get an experience. Yeah, I don't know why people would buy that crap. If you like coffee, do like the old guy Carnivore or other these people. Just drink the black coffee. That's all. I mean, I hate coffee. But if you want coffee, and in fact, if you're a coffee connoisseur, maybe you should spend your money on one of those little espresso machines or the little French press or something like that. There is kind of a little, I've tried growing coffee just for the heck of it. I grew a coffee bush and I tried to make some for my mom. She didn't like it, but hey, what can you do? It is Florida. The climate's not perfect for it. But I do have, in fact, I do somewhere have the little coffee grinder and the little press and then the little espresso machine. And my mom was using this non-dairy creamer. So I use real cream. I don't mind it. I don't like it, but I don't mind making it for other people. That's fine. I just feel good that if I could give somebody something natural. I had a commenter one time that said, "Well, Rick, you're a carnivore. Would you own an avocado farm?" I said, "Absolutely. I would own a banana, avocado, papaya, whatever farm you want. I have no problem with growing and selling or even giving away fruits and vegetables, as long as I know that they're grown in a way that doesn't destroy the environment and doesn't exploit labor. I have no problem with that. So if you like that stuff, go ahead and eat it. There's no problem. I'm not going to tell you that plants are trying to kill you, although most of them are. There are some plants that are edible, and there are some plants that are beneficial to some people. And again, even those plants that are trying to kill you, they might save your life because those toxic chemicals can be used as medicines. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Have you ever had to go off carnivore and eat grains, plants because you were that broke? Yes, I have. I have had to do that. I've had to forage for food. I've had to eat, nasty stuff. I can barely get them down. I've had to eat avocados. I hate the taste of them. I have had to eat plantains and bananas. I've eaten mangoes, which I don't like. So yeah, I have had to eat plant material. The problem is that it doesn't agree with me. And in most cases, I will get diarrhea. So I have to be very careful. Now, the one plant material that does agree with me is fermented plants. And I do eat them occasionally. When I have to eat a lot of low quality store-bought chicken and pork, I will eat homemade sauerkraut and kimchi, and it actually does improve the flavor. Beef, I generally eat by itself. I don't even salt it because beef, especially when I used to be able to get local beef, it was just the most delicious stuff you can imagine. Even though it was tough, people told me the steak looked like something that you could put on a saddle. I love the taste of it. It was very enjoyable. But yes, I have had to eat plant material, and I hate to say that. I do, you know, I've said even in my first video, I think I did with Joey, look, if I had a choice between starving and eating plants, I would eat the plants because starvation is not a good option. So if you have to eat the plants, go ahead and do it. But if you don't, why do it? Okay, let's see what else we got here. Uh, okay, hi Rick, Meathead. Yes, hello. And William McCartney says hello. Rachel Patrick. Okay. Professor K calls him Paul Salad. I don't know. Well, we know that Bar K is definitely a character in the carnivore space. He is a very, very long-term keto guy, although he admits to not being perfectly carnivore, and that's fine. It's done pretty well for him. You can see that he was going to lose his eyesight, and now he's able to see. So, and of course, he promotes his Cerule products or whatever, which also some of the people in the carnivore community swear by. I know of 5 different people that make videos that swear by this product. And again, if it works for you, I say go ahead and take it. If you can afford it, you know, it's kind of looks like kind of an MLM kind of thing where you try to get other people to, you know, I don't know, whatever. But it may work. I don't know. My mother used to take supplements. It helped her. But in my case, I don't feel like I need them, so I won't do it. But yeah, I was interviewed by Bart K. I think he was like the second carnivore to interview me after Joey. And back then, him and Joey were kind of friends until Joey went off the rails and went wacky. But yeah, Bart K has a long history of research and experience. And if you don't mind his style, he's a great channel to watch. You can learn a lot. When I think of him, I think about Randall cycle, which I had never known before, but it makes sense because I always notice that people that eat carbs and fat seem to get fat faster. So that's what I always attribute him to. Every carnivore personality, you know, like I said, when I think of Dr. Sean Baker, I think about, you know, ribeye steaks and mussels. When I think about Anthony Chafee, I think about plants are trying to kill you. Every carnivore influencer has a little thing that goes with them. Okay, what else do we have here? No more processed foods in my house. Yes. The kids are like 80, okay, meat, but there you go. Well, that's good. 85 to 90% meat-based, they're carnivore. If you're more than 70% meat-based, you are carnivore by definition. Okay, let's see. I've been there. My first job was at Panera Bread. Oh my goodness. I got so unhealthy. I've been to oh, I can't stand. You know, there used to be a bowling alley here, which was Don Carter's Kendall Lanes. That's where I got my bowling lanes from and pin setters. And they have a Panera Bread where the bowling alley used to be. And when I go to Lowe's, I can smell that nasty bread smell. I hate that stuff. I don't know how anybody could eat it. Ugh. And they have a really weird looking logo that looks like a dog turd with like hair on top of it. I don't know what that's all about. Not a very appetizing looking place. Okay. And Polish Mike says if anyone likes coffee, then they should be able to have black without. Yes. Yes. If they like salad, they should be able to eat with dressing. Exactly. And this is what I tell my raw vegan friends. If you really like salad, and I've done it myself, I've eaten raw spinach just to prove a point. I can do it. My vegan friends can't do it. Now, of course, the raw spinach didn't agree with me because I had really bad diarrhea 4 hours later, but I can actually eat leaves and plant material without dressing. I would never, even when I was trying plant-based, I told everyone no dressing, no dressing. You know, you can eat meat without dressing. I can eat raw meat and enjoy it. Why can't I eat the raw plants without enjoying it? That's a very good point. Mike, long time no see. Unfortunately, my thinking is in the future for when my daughter has a health crisis. So I have the antidote carnivore. Well, that's it. You know, if you can get people used to the carnivore diet, you can really, really, you know, give them an advantage. Okay. I enjoy your content. I think of you as a Mr. Rogers of carnivore. Well, I am exactly that. If you think about Mr. Rogers and Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. If you think, hey, what would happen if Mr. Rogers was a carnivore? That's me. He would be 6'6", and I do have a traffic light. In fact, what I should do, I should put the traffic light in my intro, and maybe get that little tinkety piano. Ding, 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 ding. That would be kind of funny. But yeah, I have traffic lights in my yard, believe it or not. If you've ever seen my outside video, have it in my front yard and backyard. And I had a train set at one time. But yeah, I'm like the Mr. Rogers of carnivore. I have the same attitude. And, I do, let's just say that I'm one of those people that the Bible might describe of as being cautious as a serpent, but meek as a dove. I'm the kind of guy that I don't show a lot of attitude, but when it comes down to it, I will fight back if I need to. That's the way it has to be. But yes, I'm like the Mr. Rogers of carnivore. There you go, kimchi and sauerkraut. And again, if you can eat the stuff and it doesn't bother you, I think there's benefit to it. I am a strong believer in fermented foods for the yogurt that I eat. I've always found that to be a good thing. And in gardening, fermentation is the secret to a good garden. I don't use fertilizer. I don't use pesticides. I don't have a weed problem because when you cultivate the garden with the right amount of effort and you have fermentation going on, you are almost guaranteed to have a much better outcome. Because really, it's the imbalance that takes down plants. Okay. Oh, you have the answers and ready to help her. Okay, that's good. Oh, yes. Good old Joey. He is making a lot of money now and he deleted his old videos. Yeah, see, he deleted his most popular video was the one he made of me. Even with all the carnivore influencers he interviewed. For some reason, when people saw my video, they got really encouraged. And I think, even though I've been forgotten by a lot of people, I think that original video started the career of several of these carnivore influencers. Now, Joey, he's in life insurance now, so he's playing the game, I guess. Hey, if he's getting money, good for him. Get it while you can because eventually it'll run out. Hopefully, he's smart enough to put away some of it in investments that won't lose value. And I think eventually, he'll be living somewhere where he gets a good quality meat. I think his heart is in the right place. He's just a kid, and, it just takes time to get the experience. Okay. Professor K wears a military uniform. I always think is wrong. Yeah, that's true. His meat militia. It's always fun to see it. And his little teddy bear, he's got the yellow Ted. Now I have the black, I guess you could call it the black Bart. So, his teddy bear, he makes threats and talks about soapy frogs and all that. I don't understand exactly what that means with a wetsuit. But I'll tell you one thing, my little black menace, he's the real deal. You got to watch out for that little thing because he will scratch you. You can see right here. He got me. But the thing is, I get scratched all the time. That's normal. It'll heal in a few days, and I never get infected. So, I don't think I have cat scratch fever. I don't think I'm going to have toxoplasmosis or anything like that. I'm not going to be over there going, going crazy, turning into the cat lady, because that's not in my nature. Okay, we've got a question here. Do you think eating spices is okay? Do you ever eat spicy stuff like hot chili peppers or cayenne pepper? Well, I don't like spices. I don't like the taste of them. But I have friends that swear by spices. One of my friends, he calls it jacked up. Every time I eat his food that's jacked up, I end up doing number 2 in 3 to 4 hours. But a little bit of spices, it's not going to, what is it going to do to you? A little bit. If it doesn't bother you, they talk about oxalates and all that, of course. But, I believe, and this is just my theory, that there are bacteria out there that consume oxalates because you can see that sauerkraut and kimchi, a lot of the oxalates are consumed by the bacteria. So I think for some people it's fine. I know people that, like Mexican food, which is garbage basically, and they've lived into their 80s eating this nasty food, and they swear by the spices. So I think for some people it's fine. And again, I'm not the carnivore police. I'm not the one that invented the carnivore diet. That was invented thousands of years ago by somebody else. Was not invented by me. But when it comes to other people, if you can eat the spices and it doesn't bother you, that's fine. I think it's only a problem when you start having issues, chronic health issues, aches, pains, or whatever, digestive issues. If you have any of those issues, it might be a good idea to drop all the spices for a while, go on the carnivore diet, meat and water diet for a few months, and then add them back in. I think for some people, certain spices are fine. Let's see what else we got here. Okay. Mr. Rogers still, yeah, I love that. Like, there you go. I need to try kimchi. You should, if it's something you like, just don't overdo it. You don't want to make yourself sick. Can't eat hot food. I used to when I was, chilling. Yeah, exactly. Some people love that stuff. I don't understand it. Your mouth is burning. What's the point? I never liked bread. I agree. Lambs. But decided to incorporate it in my diet some 8 years ago. 2 years later, I had to take out part of my colon. See? Wow. Pray for losing completely like Ken Carnivore. Yeah, Ken Carnivore, if you ever watch his channel, you can see that he's lost his colon and he has his bag. He has a good physique. He's got a good attitude. I mean, for somebody that's been through so much, very encouraging. And it's a proof right there that people say, well, meat causes colon cancer. Well, the guy's got no colon and he's living on meat. He looks really good. He washes windows, I believe, for a living. So it's not like he's sitting around doing nothing. That's great. Okay. What do you think of extracts, supplements like garlic extract, cayenne pepper, kelp extract? Well, again, it's like anything else. I think one of the main things in garlic is called allicin, which has some antibiotic properties. You just have to try it. I'm not an expert on this. I don't use the stuff. But then again, if I make kimchi, there is fermented garlic and onions in there. So you can try it, but I think it's like anything else. You need to go basically without everything for a while and then try adding one thing at a time. I've seen this on many channels. I think even on Chafee's channel, they mentioned that. And try it. I really don't think that all plant material is going to kill you, but I do think that the dose is important. They always say the dose makes a poison. And it's something I would just try. They actually put the markings for the stoma on my, see, there you go. Yeah, that's pretty bad when you have to get to that condition. Mexican food is garbage. I believe that. Yes. And avoid rice and beans and burrito. I had a friend of mine bring some food that his wife made. It was meat. It was like a carne, whatever. I forget what it's called, but it had beans and rice in the mix. I picked out the meat. I ate just the meat. I even wiped it off. And can you believe in 3 hours I was on the toilet with violent diarrhea? So I think there's chemicals in the beans. And I think the lectins, I don't know what it is, but it had a really bad effect on me. And I hadn't had a digestive issue in months. And there it was. I got on the toilet. And I was on the job and I had to use the toilet. It was not a pleasant experience. So he got to see firsthand and experience the unpleasantness of eating the wrong stuff. So that's what it is. I went a whole year without spices. I don't miss them. Yeah, you don't really need them. There's no point to it. Kent Carnivore. Yeah, Lee is the proof of carnivore. Yes, he is one of the proofs of carnivore. Okay, natto is the top fermented foods. Yeah. Now, there's also an extract called nattokinase that a friend of mine that had heart disease was using, and it actually helped him with his blood pressure. So that is that. Yeah. Again, it works for some people, and I'm not saying, because when you think about it, what we're eating, if we eat beef, we're basically eating the byproducts of fermented plant material. The cow is doing the fermentation, turning it into meat, milk, and all the other things, fat. So I think that for some people, and again, I think a lot of it depends on how you were raised. And I think that as you grow up, your body adapts to what you're eating. So some people may be able to do that. But then again, I think for most people, it is unnecessary. Thank you for the comment answer. Yeah, my pleasure. On the job toilet issues is, let me tell you, the worst is when you're out in the field. You're out there in a machine or something like that. Maybe you're in an excavator or bobcat or dozer or whatever, and you're far away from a toilet. And then, you get, for example, excavator's not so bad because you're sitting in one place, you're just swinging around. The bobcat is the worst because you get in there and you're bouncing around, and then you get that digestive issue, and it's like, oh no. And you're just trying to find a spot. Well, the good thing about the bobcat, at least you can start digging a hole when nobody's looking and then go out there and just get rid of it. I always kept toilet paper in the truck for those bad experiences and some water as well. But yeah, it's not good. Thankfully, it happens very, very, very rarely. Okay, I see nope. All right. More than natural blood thinner. All right. DS111. Okay. Well, it's because of complaining about the site. Huh. Really? Interesting. All right. Well, some of these chats can get pretty weird. The vegans pop in there and then they start to make the bad comments. I've had a few of them. They tell me how unhealthy I look, that my eyes are dark and this and that. Well, if you look at the picture of me from 25 years ago that started the stream, you can see that it's the shape of my eyes have always been the same. And if you look at me now versus 25 years ago, I don't look that different. And I think a lot of times people forget that I am 56 years old. When I talk on the phone to people, some people think that I'm younger than that. It happens quite often. So it's just, It's one of those things, you can't please them all. So anyway, yeah, things have been good. Look, it's already been a couple of hours. This could go on and on and on. It's up to you. It is my day off, and it's kind of a little rainy now and then, but I'm glad to be here. Let's see. The vegans are, oh, yes, all the vegans. Oh, my goodness. And it's really kind of frustrating because the vegans are not operating from a position of reason. They are definitely, and I hate to say it, I think a lot of them start with mental issues, and that's why they become vegans, because the principles of veganism are flawed from the start. The idea that we have to prevent animal suffering. And the problem is, as I've explained many times, the only way to prevent animal suffering is to eliminate all animals. All animals would have to be eliminated to have no suffering. And that is not something that I am willing to do. I will rescue ducklings and other small animals that need help, even though I may eventually eat them for dinner, you know. But I would rather see a duck rescued from the drain rather than dying in the drain or being eaten by a hawk or run over or whatever, and live for a few months and then end up in my kitchen. That's not a bad thing. And in the wild, every animal has its predator. And the problem is, and I try to explain to the vegans, if there were no predators, the animals would eventually die because they would starve to death. You think about something like deer or any other type of ruminant animal that grazes, they're going to keep mating, they're going to keep producing, they're going to keep eating. And then what's going to happen? Well, you're going to have so many of them, there won't be anything left to eat. And then what? What are they going to do? They're going to die. When you have animals that are malnourished and stressed, disease will wipe them out. It happens every time. And that's what I don't like. The thought of having animals being wiped out by disease is just not a pleasant experience. Nobody wants to see that. Now, predators are not nice. You think about like a Florida panther or cougar, they'll attack these deer and they'll rip them open while they're still alive and eat them. So these animals have to live under stress their whole life. They have to be constantly on the lookout. Every little noise they have to look and see, because they never know if that little noise is going to be their last day on the earth. But on the other hand, you have a cow pasture full of cattle and they're walking around and they're grazing. Nothing's going to happen to them. The farmer protects them from predators. He's not going to let the predators eat his cattle. What's going to happen? Well, eventually they're going to end up in the slaughterhouse. They don't know what a slaughterhouse is. All they know is that it's some enclosed space. They may have been in an enclosed space before to get their hooves trimmed or get brushed or washed or, some type of attention. When the cattle get sick, they get medical attention, they get injured. They're confined, yes, but on a good quality ranch, they're going to be in the outdoors. And eventually, what's going to happen? Well, yeah, they're going to get killed and eaten. But what's going to happen in the wild? They're going to get killed and eaten. And even if they live long enough to get old, then what happens? Well, you're going to get old and you're going to be falling apart and you're going to die anyway. So my theory is this. If you're going to have animals, you can have animals living in the wild. Why not have animals? We keep animals as pets. We keep animals as livestock. The trade-off to the livestock is they're going to get killed by us and we're going to exploit them for food. But in the wild, they're going to get killed by a predator or disease, or simply they could just fall into a ditch. There are many wild animals that fall into a ditch and they just die because they can't get out. But if your cattle or sheep or whatever falls into a ditch, what is the farmer or shepherd going to do? He's going to go there and pick it out because that's a valuable animal to him or her for that matter. So again, when you're dealing with vegans, remember, you're not dealing with the position of reason. And I've learned not to get frustrated because getting frustrated with vegans is a waste of time. There's really nothing that you can do to change their mind. They have to change their mind themselves. And it's the same thing with anybody else. If they're going to eat the duck food, you can laugh at them. You be like me and you go quack, 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 whatever. That's fine. But don't tell them that if you eat that, you're going to die, because we're all going to die anyway. I don't care what you eat. We are all going to die. There is no way around that. So the question is, do you want to live your life in a way that benefits others and that keeps yourself healthy as long as possible? Or do you want to be a burden on everybody else? Do you want to be a person that becomes chronically ill, that has to rely on a medical system that is based on profit and is not based on production? In other words, we're not trying to make you healthy. We're just trying to keep you alive long enough so we can milk you. We're basically turning people into livestock. We're going to take their money and their resources, and we're going to give them just enough to keep them alive. We're going to, make accommodations so they don't die immediately. That's just not, is that the way to live? Does that look like the way you want to live? That's not the way I want to live. I would rather go on Rick's heart attack diet. Eat the foods I love. Eat a bunch of meat, fat, load up with cholesterol. And then one day, you get the big one and you just fall over and you drop dead. That's what I want. I've known people like that. They just die in their sleep. We had a neighbor. He lived to 98 and he died in his sleep. He was driving 2 days before. Didn't feel good. 2 days later, he's dead. And then the poor vegans constantly telling you how healthy they are and how long they're going to live. Look at Dr. Michael Greger. You see this guy? Have you ever seen the way that he talks? He bobbles his head like this, and he's on the treadmill, and half the time he can't even keep his thoughts. He's really annoying to listen to. I can't listen to this man because he makes me frustrated. My blood pressure goes up when I have to listen to this guy. And he wrote a book. What was his book that he wrote? How Not to Die or something like that? I mean, come on. Look at him. Does he look like somebody that's really, really healthy? And he's younger than me. He's like, 3 or 4 years younger than me? Vegans don't want to, they're not like us carnivores. We talk to the people directly that watch us. And I like to meet people. Vegans don't want to meet anybody. I would love to meet up with Dr. Greger. I would challenge him. Let's do some sprinting. Let's do some work. Let's go catch a duck, whatever it is. And I bet every one of the things I could do better than him. I could give a speech better than he can. You can look at my live. Look at how long I've gone. Have you seen me drink any water? No. Have you seen me snack? No, I don't have to. I don't do that. I ride my bike for miles and I don't take any water with me. How can that be? How can it be that someone who's supposed to be on an unhealthy diet can do all these things without having to have all these aids and all these supplements and carb loading and all this other nonsense? Is crazy. I mean, of course, Dr. Greger versus Dr. Sean Baker. I mean, that's not even a competition. But somebody like me, I don't work out. I don't do anything to maximize my health. I just work and I eat and I sleep, and that's it. No vitamins, no supplements, nothing. And I'm not trying to tell people how not to die, because you're going to die. I mean, that's it. The only way that you can avoid dying is if you have a faith and your God is going to resurrect you, whatever, but you're still going to die. This physical body is going to die in this world. There is no way around it. Because of entropy, we get old, we fall apart. There's nothing you can do about that. So the question is, you have this much time to work with. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to waste it? Are you going to eat duck food? Are you going to buy into a system that doesn't care about you, that only wants to use you as livestock? They want to exploit you every way they can? Or are you going to take charge yourself and you're going to connect directly with your food source if you can? And if you can't, at least you're going to connect with other people. You're not going to try to be something that you're not. You're not going to try to pretend like, I'm this person or whatever. Looks like my phone's getting ready to ring. But yeah, that's one of those things that I think a lot of times people take for granted, and they're listening to these gurus and these influencers, and I think in many ways they're missing out. So if you want to do something that's going to benefit you and others, you need to educate yourself, and you need to have enough of an open mind where you don't just believe everything that people tell you. Listen to what we say. You can listen to me, you can listen to anybody, but please don't be dogmatic. It's like, again, religion. Everybody has their beliefs. They have a religion, or maybe they don't believe in religion. That's fine. But don't be dogmatic, because when you are, you're going to limit yourself. And especially when it comes to diet and lifestyle. It's a big mistake. So anyway, yeah, let's see if we have any more comments here. We can't fix stupid. That is true. What is your thoughts on water fasting or fasting in general? I don't practice fasting. I eat 3 times a day. But I think for people that are overweight or metabolically unhealthy, it does have a lot of benefits. My fat friend that I talked about, who eventually died, he had heart disease. He practiced fasting, and it had a tremendous amount of effect. He was dealing with some gout and some swelling, because obviously he had 5 bypasses, and the fasting worked for him. And I think for many people that are obese, definitely you should try it if you can. Also, fasting can help reset that constant cycle of hunger and, needing food. It's good. Me, I don't do it. When you're skinny like me and you're active, fasting has no benefit. But technically, I do fast because I typically eat dinner before 8 o'clock, and normally I'll have breakfast around 7:30. So, you know, it's going to be a 12-hour fast for me every day. It's just not intentional. But again, in a couple of hours, I'll be eating lunch, and then in another 4 hours, I'll be eating dinner. So, I like to eat 3 times a day. Okay, let's see. We can't fix stupid. Yes, Dr. Greger is more of an AI than a human. That is true. I would watch that. Okay, I read his book, really, when I was severely depressed, and I tried to try it by eating a vegan diet. Did that for 9 months. My health got worse. See? Then I started carnivore. See, I tried plant-based diet for 7 months until I got the worst flu of my life, and I gave up. I said, you know what? I'd rather be dead than live like this. Because they were trying to convince you that being strong and healthy was going to shorten your life. I said, good. If I'm going to shorten my life by being strong and healthy, that's what I'm going to do. And I think that's one thing. I have a friend, besides Jonathan, I have another friend that's been into bodybuilding, and he said that he would rather be dead and in good shape than being skinny and helpless. And I agree with that 100%. There is a trade-off. Things that you do, yeah, you may shorten your life by being stronger, but you're going to get more out of that life. And again, depending on what you believe, if you have these religious beliefs, you may believe that you're going to get an eternal reward, then this life really doesn't matter that much. In fact, if you believe that way, you should be thinking, what can I do now to encourage other people? Am I setting a good example for other people, or am I just furthering the current broken system? You might want to think about that too. It's just a little something. There's a lot to this. Being carnivore is not just about yourself, it's about other people, and it's about the environment. Despite what a lot of the other people will tell you, they tell you that cow burps and cow farts are going to destroy the planet. I have a funny feeling it's the opposite. I think if they got rid of all the cow burps, I think we'd be in even worse shape, because every time they try to modify something, they make it worse. Okay, wise words, Rick. Well, thank you. I have had to push my heels back. Yes. Let's see, my meals back to 4. Yes. See what I mean? So Jonathan, he's a big eater, but he has a lot of demands because he's serious into bodybuilding. If you see what he's been able to accomplish, I don't know how he does it, considering his chronic issues, but man, he's impressive. This is a real champion right there. I have a lot of respect for him. It's just, I don't do bodybuilding. I've experimented with it, but I have a lot of respect for the people that do. And I do believe that it does shorten your life somewhat, but I think it's worth it because you're going to get to experience more of your life. And again, to get to championship status, you're going to have to use chemical enhancement. It's like they call the juice. Come on, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're doing it in a responsible way, it's your body. People will go and get plastic surgery and they'll do all these things. What's wrong with getting a few extraneous hormones? There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see a problem with it. Some people make a big deal out of it. It doesn't bother me. That's your body. You do what you want with it. And again, I think for some people it's actually beneficial because if you're able to maintain muscle as you get older, what's wrong with a little TRT? I don't have a problem with that. That's a good thing. Some people increase their testosterone normally on the carnivore diet, but for other people it's not enough. So again, I'm not saying limit your possibilities, but let the carnivore diet be your foundation. Then you can build on that. That's how you really get progress. See, Polish Mike, I'm not a faster myself. On occasion, holidays, I may incorporate a 2-day fast. Well, there you go. Well, you see, Polish Mike is trying to gain mass. He's like me. He wants to get bigger, and I appreciate that. And of course, he's healthy and he's pretty good looking. So I think his progress is going to be manifest to a lot of people, and that's a really, really nice thing. And Jonathan says, "Thanks, Rick. I'll be using a cane in 1 year wheelchair." Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. But you know what? While you're able to, take advantage of the opportunity. If you're going to spend the rest of your life limited, why not take advantage of what you have now? Build the body that you want. Set the example, because long after you're gone and long after I'm gone, your information may still be out there. And you may be one of those people they talk about. Talk about bodybuilding like Eugene Sandow and some of these other legends. You may be another one of the legends that they talk about. Look at Jonathan, all the problems he had, the obstacles, and look at what he was able to accomplish. And that's a good thing. So don't feel like it's in vain, and your encouragement to me, even though I'm not in the bodybuilding lifestyle, I do think the same way in some ways. I mean, for me, becoming massive would be nice. I mean, it'd be nice to look like Dr. Sean Baker, but it doesn't really help me in terms of my work or the things that I do. So it's not a priority. Now, if I had the opportunity, I would definitely do it. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But it's all in about what works for you, and I'm really happy about that. Okay, let's see. He walks with me. It's absolutely the opposite of what they say. We need cows to save the environment and the soil. That is correct. You know, I have to put a lot of physical work into composting and fermenting plant material when animals can do it automatically. And the thing is, what a lot of people don't know is that forests, especially in tropical climates, don't make a lot of soil. The grasslands with ruminant animals, they make more soil because a lot of that is taking place inside the animal. When leaves and other materials fall on the ground, they're consumed very rapidly. So, like in a rainforest, you don't have a lot of soil. You cut down all those trees, and you're left with basically a little bit of organic matter and a bunch of sand and rocks, which becomes unsuitable. And in order to build another forest, well, you're going to have to start all over. You're going to have plants that can live in these poor conditions, such as grasses. And then you're going to have animals, because the thing is that grasslands cannot exist without constant mowing. And if you were to just let the land go to whatever, you'd have a few bushes, a few grasses, a few scraggly trees, and nothing it would take hundreds of years to progress. But if you have enough rainfall, that's the key, and you manage the pasture correctly, you can actually build soil at a rate 10 times faster than what you would get in the natural environment. So, and I can prove it with my own yard, with just what I've been able to do. I've been able to build a foot of soil in 20 years. So it is quite impressive what you can do. And again, the experts, they're there. You got to look at who finances them. They're paid to put out. I call them, like Gerald Celente says, prostitutes. They're paid to put out, and they're going to put out whatever they're told to, whether or not it is correct. So when you listen to them only, you're only getting part of the story. You need to find other sources of information. Okay, well, let's see. I see that's the last comment there. It's absolutely the opposite of what they say. That's good. Looks like we still have 24 people in the live stream. I think we've actually blown past some of the other live streams that are out there. I'm surprised that this many people hung on. I'm actually quite impressed that you've taken your time to watch a quack like me and listen to me, and that's good. So do we have any more questions, or should we wrap up this live stream before it gets to be too boring? It's up to you. You tell me. I'm here. Again, it looks like my phone rang once. I don't know who it was. But anyway, okay. Is this going to be a regular Saturday morning thing? Well, that's kind of up to you. And I mean, I'm usually off on Saturday. There may be some Saturday mornings that I work, but if you would like that, I will do it again. What I'll do, I'll try to do it again next Saturday, and then at 8 o'clock. And if you wish to be here, you can be here. And if nobody shows up, then I'll just close it out. So that's up to you. But again, you're kind of the ones in charge, because one of the theories I have is that one person can only do so much. And I always say that if you have somebody, let's say you had a person that's super wealthy, they're a multi-billionaire. They are not self-made. They did not get that wealth on their own. I would take that person, dump him on a deserted island. And the only thing they have on the deserted island is maybe some pigs, some coconuts, some fish. And I'll even leave him $2 billion on that island. If I come back in a year, what do you think is going to happen? Is that island going to be full of high rises and full of, expensive cars and whatever? Of course not. I'm probably going to come back to find, money blown around the island, bones on the beach, because the person couldn't survive. Now, if you dump me on a deserted island, I'd probably still be there a year later. I'd have my hut, and I'd be eating, pigs, iguanas, whatever I could get. I may not look as good. I may look kind of raggedy because I've had to really work harder than I normally would. But again, there's no such thing as a self-made billionaire. So it's up to you. If you want to make this into a regular thing, I need you. I mean, think about it. It's like a tree. A lot of people don't understand that a tree by itself can't survive. It has to coexist with bacteria and fungi. It has to have rain. It has to have sun. All these things have to be put in. So again, there's no sense on me coming here, talking, doing a live stream if nobody shows up. But if you do show up, then that tells me that I am actually beneficial. I'm encouraging. Again, I don't think there's anybody else out there that wants to live like me, but I think you can learn from me. And my goal, again, I'm not going to make any money, but I definitely want to meet people. And if I can become successful enough where I can travel, which I have not been able to do because, for the last 10 years, I've been taking care of my mom and dad, and I had businesses. And I mean, before I had money, I used to travel, but I got tired of that. It's like when we had conventions in Las Vegas. I used to like to go there originally, but then they changed that place so much, I would never want to go there. Now it's just a boring collection of high rises, and it looks pretty awful. But I've been to different places, and I tend to like places that are more natural. And again, it's like the people. I like being around people that are actually real people. You're not trying to make up something. It's like me. You don't see the flashy background. You don't see the flashy clothes. I'm not driving a Lamborghini. I ride a bike, and I live in a van down by the river. Well, I don't live in the van, but I drive a van. And we don't even have a river here, but we have a canal. So I could say, I'm in a van down by the canal catching iguanas or something like that. But let's see what else we got here. You're never boring. Oh, that's good. Let's see. You're more approachable than most people. That's what I love about you. Well, thank you, Meathead. I appreciate that. And let's see what else we got. I can listen for another hour. Well, I'm sure you could. It's always a joy listening to you. That's great. I'll be here next Saturday morning. Well, I'm going to set it up for next Saturday morning. That's great. Any news of the motor for your truck? Well, my friend, he's been rebuilding his trailer. The mobile home that he lives in, he had to replace a lot of rotten wood and replace a bathroom. I'm going to have to check with him and see if he finished it. I told him I'd help him, but, it's too far away. But if he does, then I guess he'll get his friend. He'll give him the money for it. I'll give him the money when I see him, and then he'll bring the engine down. So when the engine comes down, then I'll try to make a video on that, and I'll pluck it out of the truck with a Bobcat. I'm going to go ahead and do a compression test on it. If the compression test's good, I'll go ahead and pull the valve covers and the oil pan and clean out the engine. I'll use some diesel to wash it out, make sure that there's no sludge or anything in there. And then I'll use a hand pump to pressurize the oil system, see how much leakage there is. I'll do some tests. If it tests good, I'll stick it in the truck. I'll have the truck running within a week, and that'll be great. And I'll try to make all that on video. Okay, let's see what else we got. I'll be here on Saturday. Okay, thanks for sharing your wisdom. Well, thank you for being here. And Carnivore Muscle Jonathan says, I would love to live like you. I would swap lives in an instant. Well, you know what? I know you would. You would enjoy it. And being free of chronic health issues, even though you have to work all kinds of different physical jobs, it's kind of fun in a way. And, being low stress, I think, makes a big difference. That may be why my blood pressure never really goes up. So that's a good thing. And again, I really am happy that I've gotten to meet people like you, Jonathan, and everybody else at Polish Mike. Let's see. Still waiting for video of chasing iguanas, just like the Rocky. Oh, well, one of these days, I have to find a way that I can set up the camera, and I'm going to do it. It's just a matter of time. Once I have my truck running, I have a friend over there in Coral Gables. They have a serious iguana issue, and his wife and daughter are deathly afraid of them, and they've been swimming in the pool, and you can only imagine the horror, that they had. And see, now when I'm active, see, my blood pressure's in the normal range. It's not too low, but when I relax, it drops down. And this is the other thing that I tried to explain to people. As long as I'm active and moving, I can stay awake. But if I was to simply sit for more than 10 minutes, I will fall asleep. It happens every time. So my body is kind of trained to ramp up when it needs to and then slow down when it doesn't. That's why I'm able to sleep at night so well. I have my neon lights, as you probably see over here. This is actually an argon tube, and that one is neon. I made these back in the 1980s when I was making neon signs. I was really into that. I'm a big fan of the neon. That's one of the reasons I like when I went to Las Vegas back then. I had a lot of neon. It's not like that. Everything's LED now, but it's at nighttime, it's all red light in here. And then, by 11:30, it's time to go to bed. And that's really good. Okay, let's see. Polish Mike, according to recent guidelines, that's severe hypertension. Well, there you go. See? So, but yeah, it varies up and down. And I think that's a good thing. I've done a test on myself. I've gone out there and run up and down the street back and forth. Blood pressure goes up, and then I relax. And it only takes about 5 minutes to go down, to like 100 over 60 something. So it's like up and then down. And the other thing is, I'm one of those people that I can actually see the artery pulsing. They say that's supposed to be pretty good at my age. So I've always been pretty good, been able to do that. Oh, look at that. Ruby Goats is here. Hello. That's great. Yeah, I've been on this stream a lot longer than I thought I would. I still got 24 people, which is pretty amazing that many people would want to watch the big carnivore quack. Let's see. My live stream is in 30 minutes. Yes. Hope you. Oh yes. Oh definitely. I will check your live stream. Hopefully I'm here. I did see my phone ring, but thankfully the call didn't go through. So hopefully it's not a emergency, because I really don't want to work on Saturday. I do get these quick jobs and they make money, but hey, what can you do? Okay, let's see. Texas Homemaker. Thanks for sharing your Saturday morning with us. I came in late, but you're always interesting. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad. I haven't had any negative comments, which is really good. I think that I must have weeded out the vegans because I don't see them anymore. They try to aggravate me, but I don't reciprocate. I don't care, because you can say all you want and how unhealthy I am and all the bad things about the carnivore diet, but I'm still here. I'm still going. I haven't dropped dead yet. The heart attack is coming. I can feel it. My blood pressure is really high and I'm extremely obese. I can barely walk to the front door. So yeah, it's only a matter of time before I drop dead. In fact, when I was pushing my van, I thought, oh, this is going to be the day I have the heart attack. I had to push my van about, quarter of a mile. And it's not a small van, it's a big van, but I made it home. I felt my legs hurt a little bit, but I thought, oh, the heart wasn't bothering me. So what can you do, right? Anyway, so yeah, we got some good comments today, and I appreciate that. So are there any more comments? Um, let's see. The veins in my arms are very pronounced now. You see, that's the thing about the carnivore diet. You lose a lot of that excess fat, and I think you lose a lot of that visceral fat. I don't know if anyone's watched that other doctor. What is his name? I'm trying to think now. There's another doctor that talks a lot about the carnivore diet. Sean, I think it's Sean O'Mara. Is that what it is? I think it's Sean O'Mara. That's the one. And he's always talking about sprinting and fermented foods and stuff like that. So yeah, that's, and you can see what he looks like. He seems to be pretty lean and in good shape. I think he's 61 or 62 or something like that. Looks really good. So again, the more and more of these people, you got, what's the little guy that's funny, that's always talking about sexual things? That's Dr. Kiltz. He's also, I think, late 60s. He's got lots of energy. Just take a look at all the carnivore diets and compare them to the vegan diets. Think about Neil Barnard. Oh my goodness. It's like a like a little bobblehead, a big head on a small body. I mean, obviously, I'm not, big guy. I got a kind of a small body, but on the other hand, I don't look that bad. And then you got the other one. There's another vegan guy that's out there that's always talking about how bad meat is, and he's also very thin. So it's just funny to watch them. And I always tell people, I said, look, when you take advice somebody, see what they look like. Yeah, I know it's probably sort of a prejudice, but I do look a lot at a person's appearance. And the thing is that if they're giving you this advice, can they keep a coherent thought, even if they're not in the best of shape? Can they talk to you for a long time without mumbling and stumbling and getting upset? I mean, look at me. It's been what? Almost 2.5 hours and I'm still talking. How can that be? Do I have brain fog? I don't think so. If I had brain fog, I would have to give up. I could talk for hours. I used to teach at the college. I taught electronics courses. I taught computer repair. Those classes ran sometimes for 2.5 hours. We would have like a 1 day a week class or a workshop, and I would go and go and go, and I would take a break for my students because they couldn't deal with it. But then again, when it came to the other professors, I had less people fall asleep in my class than I did in theirs. Because some of the professors there, they have this monotone, and they do use a lot of technical terms, which I try to avoid. If I use a technical term, I always explain it. And I did have some videos of some of the lectures I did. If I can get them off of the tapes, I might upload them to YouTube so you can see. I was trying to explain to students how resistance and how, current and power and voltage were related using Ohm's law. They were having trouble with it. I explained it in a very simple way, and everybody got it. My students used to get higher grades than any of the other classes. And if it wasn't for the fact that they changed the program and everybody now has a doctorate degree, I would probably still work there because I only have a bachelor's degree. And I wasn't going to go back to school to learn something I already knew and spend all that money that I didn't have. Plus, I was taking care of my mom at the time. So, but again, all on the carnivore diet. So, if the carnivore diet is so bad, explain to me why the vegans act the way they do. Are there any vegans over 50 that can do what we carnivores do? I don't think so. So I tell people, you be the judge. You watch what a person does, watch how they live their life, and make the decision. That's what I do. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because otherwise, you're just going on when somebody tells you. And again, it's like the internet influencers. They may have the Ferrari or Lamborghini, they may have the crappy condo, and they have the talk, they may have the physique or whatever, and they're trying to convince you. But unless you're a 20-something or a teenager, you're probably smart enough to know that it's all BS. Even back in the 80s when they had the infomercials, you had, what was the guy with the classified ads? And then you had the other one, the Asian guy that had the boat and the McMansion and the women and all that, and he's going to make all the money. Well, they made plenty of money and everybody else lost it. So that's it. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? Rick is Wilson reincarnated. Okay, well, I see somebody's been watching movies. A lot of us dream. Well, yeah, it's easy to find them. I mean, they're pretty visible. I may be skinny, but hey, I'm fine. All right, let's see. 14 years, they don't have trouble finding. There you go. That's it. Exactly. My audio mixer lives vicariously through me, and I live vicariously through Rick. Ah, okay. The ducks, right, Jonathan? I live through the ducks. I love the ducks. They're so much fun. I love watching them, even though they're fighting and mating and doing all their ducky things, wagging their tails, pooping everywhere. That's a duck's life. Still having these audio problems. Oh, well. Okay. I hope my audio is good. I know sometimes the other channels do. My internet, who knows? Season's greetings from Sarah in the UK. Well, thank you. Love your duck humor. Yes. Remember, Rick is the original and only carnivore. Well, I'm not the only carnivore quack. There are other carnivore quacks now, but I am the original carnivore quack. I am the only one that combined humor with the carnivore diet. Because you notice that when the carnivore diet started becoming popular with Saladino and some of these other, with Frank Tufano and all these people, it was more of a serious thing. I was the first one that came up with it as sort of a joke, the heart attack diet, the duck food, quack, quack, and that kind of thing. So I am the exception to the rule in the carnivore diet. You always see me with a smile. You don't see me trying to be serious because I'm not serious. There's nothing serious about Rick's version of the carnivore diet. Okay, what else do we have here? All right. Huh. My hair's thinning day by day and most carb. Well, that's interesting. I don't know. I think that's a good question. I think we need to do more research on this diet. Some people may have to add some plant foods to their carnivore diet, especially if you're losing your hair. That's not a good sign. Hopefully, we can work together on this because I don't have an answer for it. I'm not a doctor. Okay, let's see. Oh, I've never eaten a Muscovy egg. Is this similar to a chicken egg? Yes, it is. If you get a free-range chicken egg, it's just like a bigger version of it. The store-bought eggs, they're not quite as flavorful. But then again, I'm sure if you buy one of the high-end store eggs, I had a friend of mine give me some of these like extra large pasture-raised eggs, and they tasted exactly like a Muscovy duck egg. So they're very, very similar. Okay, Healthy Carnivore UK, you're the only carnivore quack we need. We are lucky to have you. Well, thank you. I'm lucky to have you here. There are no audio problems, thank God. Yes, just living in hell. Yeah, I know. Well, again, this is why I try not to bother Jonathan too much, because he's got a lot of issues to deal with, but I'm glad that he's getting some entertainment value out of my channel. And if I can cheer you up, that's great. I wish that there was something I could do to eliminate all of your problems, but again, you're doing the best you can, and no one should be criticizing that, because you're an inspiration to all of us, especially me. Duck eggs are bigger, the yolks are bigger, and the whites are thicker. Yes, that is correct. Although some of these chickens are quite big too. I prefer duck eggs over chicken eggs. I do too. Life is beautiful. Eat more would be my suggestion based on experienced nutritionists. Don't chase ketones. Yes. Yes, that's good advice for the person that's losing the hair. That's undereating is not a good idea. Don't undereat the fat. Exactly. Don't be afraid of getting fat. If anyone tells you that eating fat is going to make you fat, you can look at me. I am skinny. I have no muscle mass, just skinny legs. I've never been fat in my life. I've always looked exactly the same, and I eat a lot of fat. The heart attack diet is all about fat. Get that lard, get that tallow, eat as much fat as you can. Okay, it's not a good place. I hope it gets better soon. That's true. I think I'll be in a similar position to you and Matthew in the very near future. So my best foot forward and work whilst I can. Well, you do what you can. That's all you can do. And you know what? We appreciate it. We appreciate taking your time and your limited abilities and doing this, because, a lot of people just sit and do nothing. You see a lot of people that are overweight, they don't care. They just sit around, they eat duck food, live off the system, and you're not doing that. You could just sit there and live off the system, but you're not. And that's good. You know what? I wish everybody would do that. I wish that more people would take the chance. And I know people that are overweight and unhappy and they're sick. I said, look, at the very least, why don't you join the gym? Why don't you change your diet a little bit? It's not going to kill you. Oh, no. They just want to play games on the computer and do stuff with their porn and all the other crap, which is ridiculous. I just don't see the point of it. I would rather be dead than live like that. So that's just the way that I feel. Anyway, so you tired of me yet? You want me to sign off? I'll sign off. I know a lot of you have other things to do. Let's see. My channel gets better. I would love to have you on a guest. Well, you're look. I will go to any channel you wish. I've started several channels. Dave Mack's channel. I was the first one that he interviewed. He interviewed me because he seemed like I would be approachable. And I've been interviewed by some other, smaller carnivores. Some of them seem to have disappeared. Others are still there. But it seems like I'm the one person that a lot of people look to as their first carnivore interview, and that's smart, because it's like, I forget who was it that said that. I forget. Someone said, well, when you interview Rick, it's very simple. You just ask a question and let him talk, because Rick can talk the whole time. And that is exactly right. That's why when you see me on multiple live streams, I keep my mouth shut, because if I don't, I will dominate the whole live stream. And then, who wants to see that? So it's like I said, if I want to have a live stream where I talk the whole time, I'll just open my own live stream, and that's it. Very simple. Okay, let's see. You are one of my favorite carnivores. Well, thank you, Steve. Happy Christmas and New Year. Well, same to you. I hope you're going to have a great New Year. And if you stay on a good quality whole foods carnivore diet, I think you will have a great year. Have a great day, rest of your day, everyone. Thanks for your time, Rick. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not going anywhere. Can't wait to have you as a guest. I'll be in touch in the spring. Well, good for you. My email is on my profile on YouTube. And in case you don't know what it is, it's Bobcat4Home, Bobcat number 4 home @gmail.com. So I'm very easy to reach. You can even find my phone number on there if you know where to look. I'm not going to put it out there, but it is in a couple of my videos. It's sort of like an Easter egg hunt, so I'm not that hard to find. And even though I don't have a cell phone, I do use the Google Voice, so you can send me a text message if you like, or you can call me. And I do have a few friends from here that do call me, and that's great. So that's it. Is that all we're going to do? It's up to you. I'd be glad to let you go and do what you need to. You don't want to sit around all day. Maybe you were carrying your phone with you and listening to me. That's fine. Hopefully the audio has been good. And it's been my pleasure here. Okay, I caught the second half of your. Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Question: Have you? How much fat are you actually eating, Rick? Have you ever measured? Some people say they eat a lot of fat, but in reality, it turns out that's not the case. Well, that's a good question. It's hard to measure because generally the ground beef I eat is 73% lean. And then when I eat, let's say I'd eat chicken or pork, it's always going to be loaded with lard. Um, I've actually measured the amount of lard that I use. And a lot of times when I fry chicken, it varies depending on the temperature of the lard. But I've had an ounce of lard get lost when I eat the chicken. So that means that I'm eating the lard. I would estimate, maybe 50% of my diet is fat, maybe a little more. But I'm going to have to figure that out. That's a good question. I'm really glad I caught the second half of your live. You did a really great. Well, thank you. It was a joy. I appreciate that. It's beautiful. You might have inflammation on your hair follicles. Yeah. It was some coconut oil with 10. Okay, there you go. Tea tree oil. And by the way, if you don't know what tea tree, it's a toxic plant that grows here in Florida called Melaleuca. So it goes to show that even something that could kill you if you eat it can be used in a therapeutic way. So yeah, you can try that. Again, if you try something, try to make notes of it to see if it has any good effects, because it may be good to share with others. Let's see. Love to have lunch with you one day. Home cooked, like a pork barbecue. Hey, I would go for that anytime or longer. The shampoo, shampoo it out, rinse with apple cider vinegar. That helped me. There you go. Hair shedding and loss. There you go. When you fry chicken, can it be reused again? Yes, it can. And I've done videos on that. When you first use the lard or tallow, it's going to be more white. Every time you use it, it gets darker because of the oxidation that takes place. When it is no longer solid at room temperature, then I no longer cook with it. And what I will do, I'll use it as a hand cleaner. I work a lot with grease and dirt. So what I do, I will take the used lard, I put it in a container. It doesn't have to be refrigerated. And then you just rub it on your hands. It'll take off grease. It'll even take off roof cement. And then what you do, I use washing soda. So I'll put lard all over my hands, and then I'll sprinkle some washing soda on it, and then, do that and wash it off. And it acts as a soap. And the thing is, if I use regular degreaser on my hand, it will cause my skin to become very cracked and dry. But when I do it with the lard, you can see, I work with my hands constantly, and it's really not that bad. I don't have a lot of cracks, see? And I work with concrete and mechanical and all these things. I don't use any kind of skin products. So the lard and tallow really does make a difference. Let's see, Kitchen Witch. Oh, Rick, yes, I am here. See the ducks. Life is beautiful. Stop eventually. Okay. Yeah, keep the protein intake. Here will we grow. Again, I don't know if that's going to work, but you can try it and see. So I think that's a good idea. And again, don't be afraid to try the plant material if you have to. Plants do make a powerful medicine. They can be used to remove parasites. They can be used for infections. If you know how to use plants correctly, they can be your friend. But if you abuse them, they can be a powerful enemy. They can make you very ill or end your life. So again, you need to understand that. Yeah, cheers, Rick. Yes, Jonathan, I agree. So anyway, is that it? You want some more? You got any more questions? I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. And if there are no more questions, I will end the live stream. I will do this again next Saturday. And hopefully I'll have a better connection. I'm going to investigate because Milton, he loves Category 5 cable. And as you can see, he definitely pulled it out. I had to temporarily hook it up. So, hey, it's a challenge. When you have pets, it's always a challenge. And again, even though he gave me, a scratch right there, it'll be gone in a couple of days. So it's no big deal. And again, I must be very fortunate because I've never suffered an infection, even with all the dirt that I've been in. Well, thank you, Cindy. I agree. This gym has been great. God bless you, Rick. Look forward to more live streams. Well, thank you, Meathead. I'm glad you're here. And I'm very happy because it went smoothly. I don't know about the connection. Milton is connoisseur. Yeah, right? Okay. Hair goes through a 9-week growth cycle. Yes. Give carnivore a good 4 months. Okay, that's true. I mean, it could also be detoxification. If you've been eating a lot of plant material, that could cause hair to fall out. It's like when my mom, she had cancer and she had chemotherapy that made her hair fall out. So it is possible. And, cancer does run in the family. My mother actually, colon cancer is what got her. My dad, I don't know if he had cancer, but he had a really bad autoimmune condition towards the end of his life. So he only lived to 82. My mom lived to 90, but she suffered for the last 10 or more years of her life. So we'll see. I estimate I'll probably live to 94, like my grandfather did, and then have a heart attack. But who knows? I may go longer than that. I don't know. Hopefully, all of you will be around so you can watch me get old and fall apart and eventually drop dead. And when you see that I've dropped dead, then you'll know that what the carnivore diet actually did. Because they say, well, you're going to be like, Dr. Atkins that slipped on the ice and died. Well, that could happen if I'm living in a cold climate, although I seriously doubt it. I've slipped on duck poop more than once and fallen down and hit my head, and I'm perfectly fine. Maybe that's why I'm a carnivore quack. I bumped my head way too many times. Okay, let's see. Kitchen Witch, let's do this again soon. Yes, let's do it again soon. I'm going to do it again. Now, again, during the week, I'm often invited. You'll see me on the Carnivore Teachers channel. You'll see me on the Nia's Way channel. They are nice enough to invite me on their channel. But I try to limit my talk so I don't overwhelm everybody, but I am there. And you will. And also, I think this Tuesday, I'll be on Russ's Carnivore keto cookout. My man Russ, the only carnivore, the only YouTuber I've met in 17 years, we got to eat together. And he was nice enough to even send me some steaks in the mail. That was a really nice surprise. So I'm getting to enjoy those. So yeah, I should be there on Tuesday. So usually at night, you'll see me on these live streams in conjunction with others. But if I do my own, it'll be Saturday morning because this seems to be the right time. So again, I thank you very much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. And again, I look forward to next week. And if you have any questions for me, go ahead and write them down. If you want to email me, you can do that too. And I'll do some research and I'll see if I can come up with some answers for you. And again, as always, I'll add some of my own experience because that's the way that I always do it. And it doesn't have to be just carnivore. It could be about ducks. It could be about agriculture, gardening, construction, electric, a lot of these things. You may even wonder how a rotary phone works or how a payphone works. I can handle that too. So I have a lot of things. Oh, we got another question here. We can handle some Rick over. Okay. Bye. See you next Saturday. Rick, do you eat any seafood? Lobster, mahi, yellowtail, grouper? Yes, I love seafood. I lived in Key Largo for a while. I ate a lot of snapper and grouper and mahi. Oh, I love it. I love seafood. It's one of my favorite carnivore foods. I do eat shrimp and fish occasionally, but I don't have access to the ocean, so I don't really eat seafood that often. But if I did, I would. I love seafood. I think it's a very good carnivore food. And yes, I do a lot of it steamed, but I do a lot of it heart attack style. There's nothing like Rick's fried fish, which is basically pork rinds, duck eggs, and you bread your fish with pork rinds. You fry it up in beef tallow or lard. It's really good. It's better than Long John Silver's could ever hope for. So yeah, it's very, very tasty. So anyway, we're going to close the stream, and thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you next week, either during the week at night with others or by myself on Saturday. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it.